Welcome to Texas football, presented by My All-American, in theaters November 13th. We're live at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. The Longhorns look to get back into the win column. Kansas looks for victory number 1 here in 2015. It's been a roller coaster of a season for Texas. It all started with an embarrassing blowout loss to Notre Dame in South Bend that prompted changes. Jay Norvell take over as the play caller. Gerard Hurd took over as starting quarterback. Heartbreaking losses to Cal and Oak State followed. A big win against rival Oklahoma, but the goodwill from that evaporated with a loss on Halloween in Ames. 15th meeting all time between Texas and Kansas. The Jayhawks won the first 2. Kansas has won the last 12. We say good evening from Austin, and Anish Robb alongside Ahmad Brooks and Keith Moreland. It's been a weird season for Texas, 3-5 through 8 games. And Keith, they've beaten Oklahoma. They've also been shut out on the road against Iowa State. What do we make of this team?
Well, I'm not sure anybody knows what to make of this team right now. They're Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But when they do play good football, and they have at times this season, it happens on the offensive and the defensive fronts. They control the line of scrimmage, and they're able to run the football. On the counter side of that, when they play good defense, they've stopped a run and made the other team one-dimensional. If they can't do that tonight, it could be a long night.
This offense has had its struggles tonight against a Kansas team that has really had its struggles. What do you want to see from this Texas offense?
I think they've got to win the explosive plays. What does that mean? Runs that are 15 or more yards, passes that are 15 or more yards, and this is the time to do it. Look at this Kansas defense here. They're allowed over 28 plays of 38+ yards this season. That's horrible. So if you're Texas and you can't come out here tonight and produce big plays, this offense is really stale and needs a performance tonight to make sure that they can get those big plays.
It's time now for our Veterans Coin Flip, presented by Texas Lottery. The veteran doing the honors tonight, the University of Texas Chancellor and retired Navy SEAL William McRaven. Mr. McRaven spent 37 years as a Navy SEAL and retired last year as a 4-star admiral.
And tonight's game, we thank you for your service to our country and our university.
Okay, gentlemen, my name's Mike. I'm your referee. This is Jim Adams. He's your umpire. Kansas, you're the visitor. This is heads, tails, tails, heads. heads. What's your call?
Heads.
Heads. Heads is his call. It is heads. You won the toss.
Receive.
You want to receive. Which end do you want to kick from?
We're going to kick it that way.
Kick it this way. Okay, gentlemen. Stay right where you're at. Kansas won the toss and is elected to receive. Shake hands, gentlemen. Let's have a great game.
So Texas will be on defense first, and James Slater is with the head coach of the Longhorns.
Told me they lost their focus in Ames last week. How would you describe their mindset heading into this game tonight?
Well, they're set. We went out and had a good practice, so when it ended up in your practice well, you got to take it from the practice field to the game field.
What are you hoping to see from your two quarterbacks tonight?
Well, you want to see them just manage the offense and move the football, score some points.
Appreciate your time, Coach. Best of luck. Guys, back up to you in the booth.
All right, thank you, Jane. The head coach for Kansas, David Beatty, in his first season, a native of Garland, but when we spoke to him, guys, he identifies first and foremost as a Texas high school football coach.
Yeah, it's a fraternity, and you get the sense of it when you talk to head coach David Beatty. He talked about his partners here in the state of Texas in the Texas high school coaches fraternity, Keith, and you know this, growing up in the state of Texas, some of the best coaching in the country here in terms of fundamentals and learning the right things, but it's also that fraternity that he's very conscious of tonight, coming into Texas, knowing that he's got to recruit this area.
And he talks about getting it done for the other high school coaches in the state. Hey, I've got to succeed here at Kansas to make that step. We want to make sure that this entire group here as a whole takes that next step forward. He's trying to get it done. They're back to basic, guys, and that's what Kansas is. They're a very basic football team trying to teach the fundamentals.
Kansas won the first ever meeting against Texas 12-0 in 1901. The Jayhawks won 1918 and 1938. Texas has won every meeting since last year. The Jayhawks were blanked by Texas. Return man is out to the 21-yard line. Kansas has had its struggles offensively. The quarterback position has been decimated by injuries. Ryan Willis, a true freshman, making his fifth start. They love his arm, Keith.
There's no question. He's got a big-time arm. At times forces the football. He can get the ball down the field, though. They would have loved to have put a red shirt on him, but because of injuries, he's had to get involved in the offense.
On the ground on first down. And to the 25-yard line, it's Taylor Cox. Kansas shorthanded today. Top two receivers, Trey Parmalee and Steven Sims, both suspended for a violation of team rules. This is already a team that's inexperienced and ravaged by injuries. Not a good start there with those two out of the lineup. Willis will keep this across the 30 and slides down to the 43-yard line and tackled by Dylan Haynes. Time for our impact players, brought to you by HEB. Ahmad, when Kansas has the ball, who are we looking for?
Well, if Willis is going to run like that all tonight, we may not even have to worry about Tyler Patrick. Number 4, the wide receiver, a young freshman. He'll be one of his favorite targets. And on the opposite side of the ball, Malik Jefferson, they call him the Predator. This kid can hunt, and he looks for ball carriers to take down all game.
Willis throwing in the direction of Patrick, incomplete. Devontae Davis on the coverage. Keith, you watched film of Ryan Willis. How many times did you see him take off and run?
I saw 85 offensive plays, did not see him run the zone read one time. First time they run the zone read in the ball game, he takes off. That's why you change patterns. You watch, you self-watch yourself. You self-scout to know what you're doing and not doing.
Willis under pressure and sacked by Peter Jenkins. Well, the identity of this Texas defense of late has been the pass rush. 18 sacks now in the last 13 quarters.
Well, even last week, you know, Joel Lanning, who just completely run rampant over this defense, they missed him 4 times in the backfield for sacks, according to Vance Bedford. So they've been getting the pressure. They haven't been able to drag him down and make the play. 3rd and long situation here. Now they can really tee off on the quarterback.
Here's the pressure off the edge, screen pass. And Cox able to get it to the 49, still a couple of yards shy of the first down. So 4th down coming up for Kansas.
Great
near
play
midfield.
call. That's a great play call. 3rd and long. Texas was showing blitz was coming. What do you do to a blitz? Run the screen. I think they go for it here early in the game. What do they have to lose at this point? They're offensively, they try to get some type of rhythm and get going. Interesting call here in the first quarter.
0-8 on the road. Kansas will go for it on 4th and 2. And some movement on that Kansas offensive line.
False start. Offense. Number 84. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
It's Ben Johnson, and now 4th and 7. David Beatty will kick it away.
Well, you can see right there a head coach saying, hey, look, don't turn away from me right now. Trying to teach right there. As a head coach, you're trying to say, hey, we were trying to draw them offsides, and we make an illegal procedure. We make the movement, and we have to punt the football.
Yeah, Matthew Wyman, who doubles as the punter and the kickoff specialist to kick it away for Kansas. DeJay Johnson, dangerous return man, the deep man for Texas. Johnson from inside the 15, and he slips down at the 16-yard line. The redshirt freshman from Denton Guyer, Gerard Hurd, under center for Texas. Right now, Ahmad, he's more of a runner than a thrower.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to be a thrower when you've got exceptional ability to run the football, and I think he needs to rely on that heavily. Last week, a few times, they dropped back numbers in zone, and he just patted the football rather than being decisive, running, using what is his greatest asset right now, which is his legs.
Bird's going to throw. Shot downfield for Burt, who makes the catch, breaks away, and John Burt is gone. 84 yards for a touchdown on Texas's first play.
And that was really the play that Gerard Hurd needs to get his confidence going in terms of throwing the football. Look, versus Cal, this kid was very effective throwing the deep ball and throwing downfield, but since that time, his production has decreased. That time there, they found a one-on-one opportunity on the outside edge. And let me say something. John Burt, number 1, is a mismatch nightmare for defenses with his height and his ability to run. The kid was a former hurdler, and you saw him there with the breakaway speed.
16th catch of the season for Burt. 5 have gone for more than 35 yards. That was 84 and 6. Texas play caller Jay Norvell told us yesterday his team had to start fast.
And you know, and it goes back to when you start fast, you have that early confidence, and that's what really helps you establish a lead and then eventually close ball games out, because you know you've been there before in a ball game and already know you can do it.
I think the defense also gets a big charge out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just different. They come with a different mindset. It allows them to be more aggressive. They're not playing cautious defense when you've got a lead. You're playing more attack defense.
Shadler watches this one sail out of the end zone. Let's go back to the TD.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a fantastic read on the part of Hurd, but I want you to watch this safety right here. Now, on the backside here, you're going to get a dragger across from DeJay Johnson. Instead of him staying deep in the middle of the field, he commits on the dragger, and it opens up John Burt over the top for the post as we roll it here. But this was just a fine read. As soon as that safety bites right now, Hurd knows he's going over the top, and the catch there from John Burt, even catching it at his highest point. I know that little bitty leap looks small and insignificant, but when you're that tall, it really does force the defensive back to be in the perfect position.
Willis to the air on first down, and a little too far for Jeremiah Booker, the freshman out of College Station. This is a Kansas team that has lost 33 straight road games. One of only 2 winless teams in the FBS, along with UCF. DeAndre Mann, the senior out of Miami, zigzags his way to the 31 for a gain of 6. And 3rd and 4 coming up for Kansas. This has been a problem area for Texas this season, getting off the field on 3rd downs.
There's no question about it. And it's really that 3rd and medium that's been that bugaboo. Instead of getting off the field, they've allowed this 3rd down conversion. Big one right here early in the game.
Willis's throw bounces in front of Shaquem Barbell, and it's 3 and out for Kansas.
Yeah, and if you're wondering who 28 is right there, that's Duke Thomas, who's had a fantastic this year playing the nickelback position and also outside at the cornerback position. Quandre Diggs is in the house tonight. I have a feeling that he's wearing that in honor of his big brother, Quandre Diggs, who playing with the Detroit Lions and was a fine player here at the nickelback position. But Duke Thomas having an unbelievable year in his senior season.
Well, the other part of that, number 28 was Freddie Steinmark.
Well, true, too. Okay, you got me.
Here's DeJay Johnson, tripped up at the 35-yard line as we check in with the birthday girl, Jane Slater.
Why, thank you, Anish. Yeah, as Ahmad was talking about 28, Duke Thomas wearing that number. That is in honor of Willie Steinmark. As a matter of fact, we don't typically see Texas make that many changes to their uniforms, but the jersey, the socks, the helmet are all supposed to be symbolic of what the team wore in 1969. Guys, back up to you.
Throwbacks.
Yeah, earlier today, the Freddie Steinmark scoreboard was rededicated. Got the movie coming out, My All-American, which chronicles Steinmark's courageous story. Bird back to the air. They'll set up the screen. That's an incomplete pass.
Yeah, it looks real familiar to me when you look at the uniforms. No names on the back. A lot of Longhorn fans say, wow, I don't see names on the back of these uniforms. Obviously, same thing in '69. It was the 100th year of college football across America. So that's the football with the 100 in it in their helmet. It takes me back.
Yeah, no doubt.
I've seen that before. The only thing that's really different, the face masks are a lot better today.
True. Now, you didn't wear the leather helmets, did you, Keith? Ah, okay, I'm just checking.
No, it was a Rydell.
Right on, right on.
On the ground here to 21, and that is Kirk Johnson, who normally wears 28, but he's wearing Duke Thomas's 21 with the number change. We were told we'd see more of Kirk Johnson today in the running game.
He's a big, powerful back and can stretch the field in terms of when he gets behind the second line of defense, he can take it to the house. And it's a young man that's continuing to develop. They like what they've seen from him while running scout teams, so he's going to get some reps tonight.
Hurd's going to take another shot downfield. He's got his man again. That's caught by Lorenzo Joe. So we're seeing some of the younger guys get into the game. Kirk Johnson, Lorenzo Joe, and that last play goes for 37.
And he's just waiting his time. Lorenzo Joe got the start at Oklahoma, was fantastic on the outside edges, blocking, opening up holes. You saw him with the touchdown at the end of the TCU game to put Texas on the board. And coming into the season, Keith, he was the starter. Lorenzo Joe was starting until John Burke came in. So he's waiting his time, and you can see now that this young man it's really paying off his patience.
Deontay Foreman moving the pile inside the 25 to the 24, a gain of 6. Foreman had back-to-back 100-yard games against TCU and Oklahoma, and then suffered a foot injury against Kansas State. Really hasn't been the same since. Here's Hurd, and he'll scamper out of bounds. A strong start so far for the redshirt freshman. He picks up a first down there. Already over 100 yards passing. That's something Texas hadn't done in any of its last 3 games.
And it starts up front. I think he's had time to throw the football, able to pick out receivers, and the rhythm. We heard an awful lot this week about rhythm. Him getting in rhythm, getting back in his drop, setting, find his target, and deliver the football.
Here's the pressure. Hurd for the end zone, incomplete, intended for Monty Foreman.
They've had success on Ogletree, that corner on the right side. See if they don't now isolate him maybe with a receiver on the outside on that right-hand side, the left-hand side of the defense, the right-hand side of the offense.
Slot receiver is Ryan Newsom, freshman from Aledo. Screen pass, incomplete. He wanted Newsom, and those short mid-level throws, sometimes that's where Hurd has struggled.
Well, that was a package play. So there, he's got an opportunity. He can hand the football off, or he can get Ryan involved with throwing that ball. It was not thrown on time. It was thrown too high. And unfortunately for Hurd, that's been the case the last couple weeks. And I really believe that he needs to be able to hang his hat on the quick passing game in order to have success.
Jonathan Gray, the tailback, on third down. Kansas brings the blitz, picked up. Hurd. There's a flag on the play as Hurd dives inside the 15 to about the 12. It'll bring up a fourth down. Let's see what the penalty is.
Usually it comes in that part where it's holding right in the middle of the offensive line. I don't think that they'll take this penalty. I think they'll decline it.
Holding.
Force fourth down.
Offense. Number 74. Penalties decline. Fourth down.
Mike DeFee, our head referee. And Nick Rose will come on to attempt a field goal.
Well, they were coming with an inside blitz there. And when you're coming in the inside, a lot of times it puts a lot of pressure. Jonathan Gray did a nice job stepping up and getting one of them.
29-yard attempt for Rose, who's 6 of 9 this season. And the kick is good. So Texas, a couple of big plays through the air on each of its first 2 drives. Charlie Strong's team up 10-zip.
Texas football on Longhorn Network is presented by My All-American, starring Aaron Eckhart and Finn Whitrock, from the writer of Rudy and Hoosiers, in theaters November 13th, rated PG. And in part by Chevy Silverado, official truck of the Texas Longhorns.
And thankfully, he is not wearing a kilt. Well played. Charlie Strong said his teams have to start fast. He said the first 5 minutes, so critical. In Charlie's words, the games we win, we start fast. A fast start today for Texas.
Well, I think there's 2 things that I take from that. Obviously, with a big play on the first play from snap from scrimmage from 86 or 87 yards out for the touchdown, that sets the tone of the game. I thought the defense came back, though. I thought that was important. They come back and get a stop right away, a 3 and out.
Texas coming off a shutout loss to Iowa State, 24-0. Already more pass yards than last week, and already more drives that resulted in the ball going deeper into the opponent's territory. Meanwhile, Kansas finds itself in a hole again. They were blown out by Oklahoma a week ago. Willis finds his backup tight end, Kent Taylor, and the transfer from Florida picks up 5.
And it wouldn't surprise me to see Kansas go up-tempo here and continue the empty look, because what that really does is it slows down that rush and spreads out that defense, and it allows this young quarterback Willis to be able to spot the blitzers a lot quicker.
Austin Miles with the catch, and he's across the 40, a gain of a dozen. Austin Moses, rather, and it's a first down for Kansas.
To take that a step further, also with a young defensive backfield, it's tough to get lined up, make sure everybody's in the right spot. And we know that Duke Thomas tries to help his teammates a little bit, being the veteran, getting in the right spot.
Empty look again. Willis under pressure, and down he goes. Second sack by Texas. It's a loss of 12. Puna Ford with his second sack in the season.
And here's what's most impressive to me. When you can get pressure on just a 4-man rush, a simple twist on the outside, and when Texas can do that, their defense plays so much better, because now you can drop numbers back in coverage. And when a quarterback starts playing anxious, and when they start feeling that pressure, that's when, as a defensive back, you better start looking, because you may start getting your hands on a couple of those footballs.
Willis back to the air, and that one is dropped. That was an issue last week. it's been an issue for this Kansas receiving core. Darius Crawley, the guilty party on that play.
Yeah, and how about the young freshman P.J. Locke getting involved? And you'll see a lot of him tonight along with Deshaun Watson. But on the end of this, you'll just see Holton Hill, a true freshman. Number 11, a true freshman, P.J. Locke, both in making a big play and forcing a 3rd and long situation.
Willis's pass picked off. Dylan Haynes down the sideline and finally taken down by the quarterback at the 4-yard line. 8th career interception by the junior.
And it's 4th on the year, and he's got the best hands of all the defensive backs. And as I said it a few plays earlier, Willis on that particular play was just flustered. You watch him here. There's really not a lot around him, and he threw this ball in the wrong location. It was inside when it should have been out on an out route, and Dylan Haynes makes him play. But these are the types of plays that if you're Texas and you can get this kind of momentum, here's where things really start to change for Kansas, because this is not a team that is accustomed to playing from behind. They know that once they get behind, this is a team that lacks little confidence when they're in that type of situation.
Dominating the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
We talked about that here early in the ballgame. Texas's front defensively in the backfield at the snap of the ball.
And with the ball inside the 5, we get our first look at the 18-wheeler package. Tyrone Swoops in at quarterback. He'll run. And a nice tackle from the backside by Fish Smithson, the safety, who leads the Big 12 in tackles.
Yeah, this is a fine play. I mean, he just comes off the edge and chases the play from from behind. And, you know, Swoops is not a speedster, but you'll see him here right in the middle of your screen. And this is a fine play because Tyrone Swoops had the edge and he had blockers out in front, and that would have been an easy touchdown, and Swoops would have walked in had it not been for the effort there from Fish.
Swoops running strong side, cuts it back, reaches for the goal line. Touchdown, Texas.
He is such a big body. At the end of this, watch him stretch right here, folks. Good blocking up front. He plants that right foot, and right there, just a big body to reach through and power into the end zone. That'll be reviewed, obviously, but I don't think there's a question the ball crossed the plane before his knee hit the ground.
6th touchdown run of the season for Swoops. Point after by Rose is good. And Tyrone Swoops extends the lead to 17.
It's a nice play here by Dylan Haynes. What does it set up? A Texas offense, one of the most productive packages for Texas, the 18-wheeler, punching it in.
Texas lives in me. I'm living in a state.
After the debacle in Ames last week, Texas had to start strong against Kansas, really against an overmatched foe. The Texas fans expected dominance in this game. Early on, we've seen it from the Longhorns.
Well, and with all due respect to Kansas, at the University of Texas, there are some games you're just expected to win, and you're expected to win in a very fashionable way of doing it, and this is one of those games.
Now, if you're just joining us already, 3 scores for Texas. On the Longhorns' first play from scrimmage, Gerard Hurd to John Burt, 84 yards for his score. And then Hurd finding Lorenzo Joe for 37 yards. That led to a field goal, and Tyrone Swoops and that 18-wheeler goal line package running it in for a score, 17-0. You look at 55. Connor Williams has really come on strong through the course of this season at left tackle for Texas. Kansas on the ground. Keon Kinner turns to the 30. Kinner last year, the National Junior College Player of the Year at Navarro. Almost 1,700 rushing yards.
Still trying to go into hurry up, or the Jayhawks here. They would like to get into some type of rhythm themselves offensively.
Kinner looking for the edge. Hall slowed him up, and only a yard. Keith, hurry up is great, but you've got to be able to move the sticks to do it.
Well, first down is what creates that. I mean, more first downs create it more, where you can get quicker to the line of scrimmage. But if you're trying to run some clock, and yeah, they would love to control the clock a little bit here and take some plays away from Texas offensively, but they've got to make first downs.
No flag on the play, and Kansas now 0 for 4 on third down. This against a Texas defense that was allowing opponents to convert at a 49% clip on third downs.
A lot easier to do it when you got guys that can cover. And Vance Bedford knows this. He's now gone to 2 freshman corners, Devontae Davis along with Holton Hill, and these 2 young guys challenge you. And even there, you saw the coaching. It continues for Vance Bedford as he's trying to get these young guys in order. But they've really helped on third down this game because they're locking down wide receivers.
This one bounces out of bounds. So Texas gets it back, already up 17-0. It's a 39-yard punt by Wyman. And Gerard Hurd has taken some shots deep in the early going, and he's connected.
Well, he has gone vertical in the ballgame. Still, one of the other things that, you know I need to see when you look at Hurd is to get into those situations when he's in third and medium, where he can find a short receiver when it's going to be tough to run for those yardage. He's still working on reads. He's not going to be a guy that's going to have a progression of 1, 2, and 3. He's really going to be a 1, 2 and get rid of the football.
Little pop pass to Jay Johnson. They'll give it back to Marcus Johnson. Johnson sheds the tackle and runs out of bounds. And he's going to be marked just shy of the first down marker. It'll be close. They do give Johnson a first down, so Texas moves the sticks. Longhorns going quickly. Here's the blitz. Jonathan Gray got a yard. He's to the 39.
Also changed center here as Jake Rollerson is now getting some time here at center spot. And they've moved Tristan Nicholson out to the right tackle spot.
Hurd up the middle. He's to the 43-yard line, so now third down for Texas.
Well, that was just a design quarterback draw that time. It's not one where it's really a scramble. It was set up with the 4 wide receivers and take the tailback in motion, try to split the defense and allow him to run the draw play. Makes it a very manageable third down.
Jay Johnson in the slot here on 3rd and 5. Freeman in the backfield. Hurd rolls to his left, throws on the run. It's high, and it's incomplete. Jay Johnson unable to hold on, so Texas will punt for the first time tonight.
A little wrinkle where they're trying to get, Texas is trying to get Hurd out of the pocket a little bit to the outside, going to his offside. Should have been completed. Johnson doesn't come down with the football, but those are the type of things that extend drives. You've got to find a way to convert on a manageable third down via the pass and not just be vertical all the time.
You know, and it's interesting because I couldn't agree with you more in terms of getting Hurd, changing his launch point. But when you look at the numbers here, he's 39% outside of the pocket, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and a total QBR rating of 34. He's got to improve with that because I think that's where he'll be most comfortable throwing the football eventually.
Dixon's punt takes a Texas bounce, and it's down inside the 15. Let's go down to Jane Slater.
Well, Anish, the one guy that we're not seeing on the football field for defense tonight is number 46 freshman linebacker Malik Jefferson. Texas tells me he's still not feeling well. You know, we didn't see a lot of him at Iowa State either. When I asked him to clarify, they said it's kind of a mixture of sinuses, a stomach bug. They said if somebody gets hurt on defense, he'll be ready to play, but they're going to hold him out in the event they're hoping they don't have to need him. Guys, back to you.
That time of the year.
Yeah, and you know, and as we talk about Malik Jefferson, another talented freshman from Westlake is out on the field right now, Brecken Hager. And this young man, you talk to Vance Bedford, and he's really impressed by what he likes to do, and that's hit the ball carrier. This kid likes to hit. Watch for number 44.
Off play action, Willis to the air, downfield, And that's caught by Crawley at the 45-yard line. A gain of 32. First big play through the air for Kansas.
That's a heck of a catch right here by Crawley, who goes up. It's great coverage. I mean, really, truly, Boyd has good coverage on him on the outside. This is almost a perfect throw. He's right there underneath. Head protection over the top. As a corner, a lot of times you think that guy over the top is going to be there. And a great seam pass and a nice play. Good catch.
You saw Crawley go to the sideline after the catch. DeAndre Mann looking for room into Texas territory. And he's close to a Kansas first down.
This is a team that just will not quit. I mean, Kansas has been in trouble most of the year when they've been trailing in ball games. Try to go quickly back to the line of scrimmage. But guys, they're a team that's been in this situation before. They're going to keep coming after you.
Man able to move the chains. When we spoke to their head coach, David Beatty, you wouldn't think they were 0-8. He was full of enthusiasm. He said, if you watch us in practice, you wouldn't believe our record. Man once again, and he gets a yard, 2nd and 9.
Guys in the middle are doing a good job up front. They haven't had that ability to run on first down very often in the ball game. Puts them in a 2nd and long.
Vance Bedford, the Texas defensive coordinator, fiery press conference earlier this week. Willis stumbles, stays on his feet. Here's the pressure. Willis taken down at the 50 by Bryce Cottrell. 3rd sack already for Texas.
There wasn't anything downfield. And this is one of those times where the secondary really allowed the pressure to get there, because when there's not any options for the quarterback, it's easy to get to the quarterback. And one thing to note is we talked about these young freshman safeties getting an opportunity to play. Deshaun Elliott, who's typically number 4, is playing tonight as number 16. He was in the middle of the field, over the top of everything, and really helped this defense put a lid on it.
Kansas young up front. Willis checks down. He's got his tight end, Ben Johnson. And Johnson takes it inside the 35. They'll be a couple of yards shy of the first down marker. And 4th down coming up. I would imagine David Beatty's going to go for it here.
Well, I don't think he has any choice at this point but to try to go for it. And a really nice pattern, well developed that time. Took everybody vertical and then dragged a tight end who started out to block, showed block, and then came underneath the linebackers.
4th down. Here's Kinner. He's got the first down and more. Kinner lowers his shoulder inside the 20 for a gain of 14. Deshaun Elliott on the stop.
Yeah, they just didn't allow Texas enough time to get set and to get the play call in. The defensive staff was trying to make substitutions. By the time the guys got out there, they're looking to the sideline, barely get their hand in the dirt. Once again, tempo offense. They're really trying to take it to Texas now.
Texas late to get lined up. Willis looking for room. And he is dropped at the 16-yard line, a gain of 3.
See the end of this play right here, boy. That's when your mouthpiece comes flying out. That's delivering a blow right there you were talking about.
Yeah, and that's Elliott there. And I can tell you, I really like this young man. When you look at his frame, he's got a long arm.
Defense, 12 men on the field at the snap. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay first down.
And you saw Texas late getting lined up there.
I was talking about Elliott here, but the confusion is coming along with they're going so fast right now. And when that happens, it's really hard for a defense when you're trying to come onto the field, make sure you're in on the right package, look to the sideline, get the play calls. With the way that these offenses now really press the gas.
Willis rolls right on 1st and 5. And he's got to throw it out of bounds. Wise decision with the pressure coming.
You have a new set of wide receivers when 2 guys are not available that are your starters. Both receivers ran the same route. And when you're running a sprint out to the outside, it's called a flood pattern. You've got to have receivers in different spots. But because both of them ran a quick curl, there was no place to throw the football.
Right.
Willis again rolls right, throws it back, caught by Kidder, makes a move. Kidder to the 5 and into the end zone. That was DeAndre Mann, pardon me, and it's ruled a touchdown.
The ball came out at the end. I'm not sure if they ruled it a touchdown, but Barbell came up with an 82, comes out here with the football right there. I'm not sure that they called it a fumble or he crossed the plane. Looked like to me the ball was out early as myself. It is out. No question. Barbell should be credited with the touchdown.
Yeah, and nice job here of you'll see number 30, Timothy Cole, coming in on this play, getting his hand on the football. An unfortunate bounce there for Texas, but what a drive there by Kansas to really be able to get in this up-tempo offense, get a rhythm going, and then put one in for 6 points.
So Kansas marches down the field, a 75-yard drive. The Jayhawks had been scoreless in the first quarter in each of the previous 3 games. It's an incredibly young Kansas team, 38 first-time players, most in the FBS, 32 first-time starters, playing a lot of walk-ons, a lot of true freshmen. But the Jayhawks able to answer after Texas scored the first 17 points of this game. David Beatty is building this program not just from the ground up. We're talking about from the first stone, from the first brick up.
Yeah, and when you're at Kansas, and this is a program that has struggled mightily, I think you've got the time. And the only way to really get this program back on track is you've got to start with your youth and be able to develop them. And you hope that you're there long enough to stick around, if you're David Beatty, to have an opportunity to see those guys blossom and become mature football players.
You've got to have an administration that understands the program and the scenario leading into it and say, you're going to have 5 years.
Yeah.
And let you put your people in place. Now, in 5 years, if you're not getting that job done, then you may have to look in another direction.
Yeah, they have not been patient with their head coaches of late. It's been a revolving door. After Mark Mangino, Turner Gill, Charlie Weiss fired last year, it was Chris Boyd. Boyd accelerates across the 25 to the 30, and that's where Texas will start.
A lot of guys on these field tonight on both sides. Guys were playing high school football on Friday nights last year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing an awful lot of young guys on both sides of the ball by both teams.
11 freshman starters tonight for Kansas. This is a team with only 67 scholarship players. They have 47 walk-ons. This time, Dejae Johnson fakes the reverse, in trouble, and he's going to be tackled for a loss. Tackle made that time by Michael Gladsick. And that will take us to the end of the first quarter here in Austin. Texas struck first with a couple of big passing plays. 17-7 Longhorns after one. Freddie Steinmark was a starting safety on the '69 championship team at Texas. He played in the game of the century against Arkansas shortly after diagnosed with bone cancer. He passed away from the disease 2 years later. Earlier today, there was the Freddie Steinmark scoreboard rededication presented by My All-American.
Freddie's life is frozen in time. Today, we come to rededicate a scoreboard named in his honor.
The scoreboard shows who's winning, and Freddie always played hard to win.
As a player, a teammate, and a friend of Freddie, my life was enhanced. My life was blessed because I knew Freddie Steinmark.
I can remember my father telling Freddie, which he told me. He said, hey, if you're going to light up the scoreboard, you play to win. And if you do light it up, you best play for keeps.
It's a revered name, guys, here on the 40 acres.
Well, I actually was coming on campus right at the time of this when the scoreboard was dedicated the first time to Freddie Steinmark. He was an unbelievable individual, and it's a heck of a story. And if you're going to get the opportunity, go see My All-American. I promise you it's a heck of a story.
Marcus Johnson with the reception. 10th catch of the season for Johnson, and that's a good sign from Gerard Hurd on those medium throws.
I couldn't agree more, because I think for him as a young player, put routes in front of his face that either force him to be able to see those routes, but when you get outside of his peripheral vision right now, when you watch him on film, it's been extremely difficult for him to find targets when they're not right in front of his face.
Hurd on the run, and he will chuck this one out of bounds toward the Texas sideline. So fourth and 3 now for the Longhorns.
Well, I'll answer you right there. A perfect example. Trying to go to a quick slant right there, really wasn't there. There wasn't great separation there, and he sort of put the ball down real quickly. Sometimes you got to hold it that extra 10th of a second and allow your receiver to make a play and get open.
Derek Neal, the deep man for Kansas. So back-to-back possessions ending with punts for Texas after the Longhorns scored on their first 3. Dixon punted 9 times last week. Neal touched that. He did, and Texas got it. A special teams miscue by Kansas.
Well, there's still a long discussion here. Now they award it to Texas.
The ruling on the field is that the receiver touched the football. It was recovered by the kicking team. First down.
And for David Beatty, you try to get some momentum, you force a punt. And that did appear to hit Derek Neal, the sophomore from Dallas.
That was close. The thing you want to look for is, does it change the trajectory of the football? It's hard to tell there.
I don't think there's anything there that they can overturn this call with from the call on the field, because it really was hard to see if he touched it or didn't touch it, but the call on the field said he touched the football.
Kirk Johnson recovered it for Texas. You cannot advance a muffed punt. And the Longhorns will begin in the red zone.
I think you're going to see a challenge here.
Yeah.
As a head coach, this is such a momentum swing in the ball game right here in the second quarter. You're down 10 already.
The play is under further review.
So they will look at this one upstairs. Replay official Don Capral.
Well, as I said earlier, right here, did it catch his finger? There's not enough evidence to say he did or he didn't, but can you overturn a call when you can't tell? You just really can't tell right there whether he made contact. Listen to the first view that you can look at.
Watching it live, that was my first inclination. Did he touch it? And then on that first replay, it appeared that he did. If it didn't, the ball went right through his hands.
One more opportunity right there. His fingers. What?
Well, here's the thing. If there's not indisputable evidence to overturn the call, you default to the ruling on the field. So if we can't tell from looking at the replay, it's going to be Texas ball.
I would concur.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. First down, Texas. Kansas will not be charged a timeout. We were paged prior to the coach challenging. Kansas will not be charged a timeout.
So that was a normal review, not a coach's challenge. And an opportunity for Texas. The Longhorns Already have 7 points off of a Kansas turnover, looking to cash in again.
I like this two-back set. They've had some success running the football, Ahmad, when they go to the two backs in the backfield with Hurd. I do like this formation. It gives them a lot of different options to run the football.
I agree, and you've got to have willing running backs, and both Foreman and Jonathan Gray have proven they're willing blockers. So it doesn't matter who gets the football back there. Both of those guys can turn into lead blockers and run downhill on you.
Ja'Cory Warwick into the game as the slot wide receiver. Flanked by Armonte Foreman and Lorenzo Joe. And David Beatty continues his conversation with Mike DeFee. It's been that kind of season.
Well, his defense needs to play some sudden change defense right here, because you thought you had held them as a defense, and now all of a sudden you're defending 17 yards.
Jonathan Gray back to the line of scrimmage. Gray, the senior from Aledo, closing in on the top 10 in career rushing yards in Texas. If he gets a big game today, he might be able to get there against Kansas.
And this offense was trying to go in behind two of their best offensive linemen, number 55, Connor Williams, and they've moved Kent Perkins over to the left guard spot. And those are the two guys that you want to run behind. That time, though, the Kansas defense doing a good job of minimizing the yardage they could get on that side.
Deontay Foreman breaks the tackle and drags a defender to the 12-yard line, a gain of 4. Third down for Texas. A broken tackle is something we didn't see last week.
It's interesting you said that, because I know Ahmad and I both heads popped up, because the coaching staff told us in last week's game Texas did not have a tackle that a running back, a wide receiver, or a quarterback broke throughout the game. They did not break a tackle.
On third down, Hurd throwing on the run, and that's caught by Warwick.
This time rolling to his right, guys. He looked a lot more comfortable to the outside. They had a nice flood pattern to the outside. He found the receiver he's looking for. You send the two guys deep, flood that side with a drag across the middle. Nice pitch and catch there for the first down.
First and goal from the 7. Hurd stays in the game. Get a little closer, we might see swoops again. Up the middle, Gray region. Ball comes out. I think they're going to say he was down. That was Foreman.
Brown caused the fumble. I think he was down before the ball came out.
I think it was that elbow.
Yeah, right there.
That right elbow. Yeah, when that elbow goes down, he's down. Here's Swoops in the 18-wheeler. They might be looking at that last play. Nope.
I think Kansas took a timeout.
Kansas takes its first time out of the half. 30 seconds in duration.
Well, David Beatty knows this is a big series. This is a Kansas team that's been beaten up and blown out for most of the season, trying to stay in this game as long as they can. And you look at who they've played. They've played Baylor. They've played Oklahoma. They've had some games against some tough non-conference teams like Memphis. They look at a game against Texas as a game where they feel, relative to who they've played of late, they got a shot here to stay in this game.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're Kansas, there's nothing about Texas that scares you to the point where you don't feel like you can come in here and compete and keep this game close. And we all know once it gets to the fourth quarter, anything can happen. And yeah, you look at it now, they're down by 10 points. And part of the reason why I really feel like this Kansas staff called this timeout here is because you know, who knows? You never know what can happen when teams are trying to find the right personnel groupings to put on the field like Texas is right now. They've gone to the 18-wheeler package. It's been very successful in the red zone. However, at the end of the day, it is very predictable. You know, they've only thrown one pass out of this look, so you know they're going to run. Now you're just trying to find out, if you're Kansas defense, where can you get a tip to know where exactly Swoops is running the football.
On 2nd and goal, Swoops into the end zone for his 2nd score.
Sudden change defense, so difficult to do, and Kansas just could not stop Texas right there. And boy, Texas takes advantage of the turnover on the punt to get some separation again. Now see if the defense can come back out and answer for the Longhorns. Kansas, they need an answer here. They need to keep this a 10-point game when we go to halftime.
David Beatty's going to tell his team, listen, it's been turnovers. 2 Kansas turnovers in this first half had led directly to 14 Texas points if this point after is good.
Texas here struggling getting the right personnel on the field.
Play clock down to 2, down to 1.
Delay of game, kicking team. 5-yard penalty, we'll have the try.
So Nick Rose will back up 5 yards and try it again.
And you saw Charlie there, the disgust on his face. Look, you've got to know when your unit is out on the football field, and that's the first thing they tell you. You've got to be into the ball game if you're on the sidelines. Texas here having some personnel issues.
Rose still makes it. Kansas has now been outscored in the first half this season, 261 to 65. Another turnover sets up a Texas score. Neal muffed the punt. Johnson recovered, and the 18-wheeler punches it in. Banging away on Big Bertha, 24-7 Texas. 14 points off 2 Kansas turnovers. This Longhorns team started the season 1-4. Not exactly happy times in Austin. Charlie Strong gained some currency with his fan base as Texas tries for the onside kick, but Kansas there to recover. Longhorns beat Oklahoma, went into the bye week, beat Kansas State, but then a lot of that goodwill evaporated with a loss to Iowa State last week. Strong's team got off to a strong start tonight against Kansas, scoring the first 17 points. And the 3rd down defense, which really hasn't been good all season, has been much better tonight.
Well, I think that is such an important, that's the money down everybody talks about. And last week, allowing 15 conversions on 3rd down, none so far this week.
Empty set, Willis to the air, gets rid of it quickly, and he's got Taylor. That will get forward progress to the 45 for a gain of 4.
And it really looks like this Kansas staff has told Ryan Willis to get the ball out of his hands. This Texas defense has really applied some pressure early on. And you can see now they're relying more on their quick passing game, 3-step drops.
That's dropped by Taylor. And that continues to be a problem for this Kansas receiving corps. It is of note the Jayhawks are without their top 2 receivers, Parmalee and Sims, suspended for a violation of team rules.
Well, drop, you can't do much about that, but it sure does change the complexion now. Another 3rd down opportunity for the Kansas offense.
Willis over the middle in traffic, and Crawley makes the catch. Brought down by Holton Hill. A gain of 13 and a 1st down for the Jayhawks.
Good job up front, Ahmad, giving him time to throw the football. You got to have a little time here to throw this pattern. Steps into it. We talked about Willis having a very good arm. You can see what they see in the future in this young man.
Beatty going downfield for Patrick. And broken up. Devontae Davis with a terrific defensive play.
Yeah, and if he had this one back, you see it here, he just leaped too soon, you know, and you've got to time your jump. And he's already a tall guy. He might have been able to just run through this catch and not even leave his feet. But great coverage. He was in the right position, in the hip pocket of the wide receiver, the young freshman growing up.
On second down, Willis pumps. Here's the pressure. Chased by Shiro King. And Willis just throws it away. 3rd and 10.
Well, they took away the inside seam that time. When you have a seam route, it's a quick release. At that point, Willis tried to make something happen by getting outside the pocket. I don't like to see quarterbacks throw back across their body into the field of play.
Ill advised.
Shiro Davis on the pressure. 3rd down and 10. Kansas 1 for 6 on 3rd downs. The last 3rd down conversion was the first. Over the middle, there's Kent Taylor again. And the Florida transfer, a 1st down to the 25, a gain of 17.
That was easy money and the best throw to make. And that side of the field, it almost looked like Texas was shorter defender. You saw Duke Thomas come all the way from the opposite side to run the blitz, and they dropped the linebacker. They were playing a deep triangle coverage from that distance. Extremely hard to do.
Willis downfield for Crawley. It's tipped and nearly intercepted by Hill.
Ball floated on Willis. He was trying to get something to the outside, and the ball just kept floating on him. He did a nice job of playing defense. As a wide receiver sometimes, and you know you can't catch it, you've got to get a piece of it. He does just enough to keep it from being picked off.
DeAndre Mann spun inside the 20-yard line, finally brought down after a gain of 6 by Timothy Cole.
Watching this young man on film, he does a really good job of finishing. And Ahmad, as an ex-defensive back, I can tell you, those running backs would rather lower your shoulder and keep those feet going. Tough to bring down.
Yes, they are.
This is Willis. He'll keep it, and he picks up a 1st down. So Kansas now 3 for its last 3 on 3rd downs.
And what you're also noticing, these are some of the same plays that Iowa State ran a week ago, and Kansas is saying, we saw last week you couldn't stop it, so let's let our guy try it. And we've seen Willis today have 2 successful runs out of zone read, keeping the football. And I think it starts with what they saw last week, this Texas defense do versus Iowa State.
Low snap. Willis in trouble. Gets away from Poona Ford, still on his feet. Inside the 5-yard line. Nice little improv there by the true freshman.
He picks up nearly 10 yards after having contact, and if you're Vance Bedford, you were going crazy. I'm watching Charlie Strong on the sideline. He's got his hands up in the air looking at the defenders like, what happened? They missed 4 sacks last week versus Lanning, and here today couldn't drag down the quarterback.
On 2nd down, here's Mann looking for the edge, reaching for the pylon, and he's going to be just short.
I think he got enough for the 1st down, though.
He did.
Trying to get the corner sealed on the outside. Does a nice job right here, reaching right at the last minute. That's going to be enough to be 1st and goal.
Kansas has more total yards than Texas. Longhorns up 17 on the scoreboard. Mann up the middle. No signal yet. He appeared to get in, and now ruled a touchdown. 1st rushing touchdown of the season for DeAndre Mann.
And guys, it looks like more miscommunication on this defensive line. Cottrell's coming over late to the left side of the line and didn't even have his hand in the dirt when the ball was snapped. And that's the 2nd time in the 1st half that I've seen miscommunication. And you see on the top part of your screen there, Cottrell wasn't even down in a 2-point stance or 3-point stance. And so this is something that I'm sure they'll try to adjust at halftime and work on their communication.
There's a player down for Kansas at the 4-yard line. Larry Mazik, the senior right tackle, he missed last week's game due to an injury. Kansas actually started 2 true freshmen on its offensive line a week ago. Right now, though, if you're David Beatty, you're telling your team, listen, if not for these 2 turnovers, it's a different game. You look at the yardage, and some of that is skewed because Texas started with a short field a couple of times. But Kansas, the last few times, has shown it can move the ball against this Texas defense.
And converting 3rd downs on that drive. Did a nice job of mixing the pass and the run, the quick short passes, and then they tried to get vertical 3 different times. You saw Willis try to go down the field 20, 25 yards.
5'6" Nick Bartolotta, they call him Yoda, on for the point after. And the kick is good. Kansas showing a little fight here on the road in Austin.
Texas football on Longhorn Network, presented by My All-American, is brought to you by Whataburger. Bite into something new. Introducing Whataburger's Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich for a limited time only. And Cooper Tires. Get up to a $70 reward during the Cooper Tire Take the Money and Ride event.
Back here in Austin, 24-14 Texas. One thing Kansas likes about its quarterback is its confidence. Jane Slater with more.
Solomon put together another successful drive for Kansas to put him on the board. Talking to the coaching staff, they talk about that confidence. They said that Charlie Weisen basically committed to Willis and told him that he was going to be the only quarterback in the class. But Likens and his staff told him they were going to go out and try to sign another. You know what Willis's response was? That's great, coach. I'll beat them all out. He said his young QB has never once given them the inclination that he wasn't ready, and he's not afraid of challenges. So they see him being the future of this program, guys.
Yeah, he should go recruit 3-4 other guys. I'll get them all.
Well, the last 2 drives, he's doing an outstanding job. 0 for 5 on 3rd down, 3 for 3 on that drive. The last 2 drives, Kansas with 146 yards of total offense, 7.2 yards per play. So he's gotten it going right now.
What's amazing, he was really the 4th option at quarterback heading into spring ball, but injuries forced him into action. And now Kansas has a look at its future. Gerard Hurd began the season as Texas is back up. He's been starting since week 2 against Rice. Jonathan Gray gets out of the ambush, crosses the 20, and able to pick up 4. Tackled by Ben Goodman, the defensive end for Kansas, who comes from a big rodeo background.
Well, I thought he was one of the best defensive players Kansas has. He's a guy with 7.5 tackles for losses, 4.5 sacks. He's been lined up tonight against Connor Williams most of the night.
And supposedly an excellent calf roper. Hurd spins away from trouble. He's to the 31, a first down for Texas.
Well, he comes from Beaumont Westbrook High School, and there's a lot of calf ropers come out of the Golden Triangle.
They're in West Texas.
He's also steer wrestled, which I guess he's also doing tonight. Hurd in trouble, slips away, got away from Goodman that time. Hurd still on his feet. There is a flag. Gerard Hurd all the way to the 40-yard line, but a flag back at the 34. And this might be coming back.
You see right at the end, what a great individual effort, Ahmad, to find a way to get outside. Should have had him there. Should have had him here. Now you'll see the block in the back right there.
47. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay first down.
And that was Andrew Beck. And one thing, you know, I love seeing these exciting plays. But I think where Gerard Hurd has to get better and have a better understanding there, you throw the football away, you take the pounding off of you, you're back at the same spot. You don't have this holding penalty or the block in the back from Beck.
Live to play another down.
Yes, sir. And he's so special. But when you've got a talent like that, it's going to be learning when to run and when to sit back in the pocket.
Hurd's pass was knocked down by Dorrance Armstrong. nearly intercepted that, and that's another building block for David Beatty. They really like Armstrong's upside.
They do. I mean, he's just leapt to the front of the depth chart completely. I mean, the freshman last week was player of the game, and you see him here, just very talented, long, rangy. He's only 225 pounds, but when he's coming off that edge, extremely good ball get off and can get at quarterback's face, and athletic enough to chase down guys like Hurd.
Second and long. Ball at the 24. Hurd in trouble, trying to get away from pressure. Ball is out. Live ball.
Roberts came up with what they're calling is a ball that's live. It's Hurd trying to do something right there. He's under pressure. Sometimes you got to tuck that ball away and just protect the football. But wasn't sure if his arm was coming forward or not.
And this is another game changer.
Definitely looked like a fumble on the replay that I saw, and we'll catch it here. Was this arm moving forward? And it's close. I'm not sure. I think right here they knock it out before it moves back forward. I believe that's going to stand as a fumble, and that was number 91, DJ Williams, who came up with that play. And here's the crazy part about it. Texas, over the last 3 games, they didn't have a fumble. So it's those types of turnovers. And I had just said 2 plays before, Hurd has to be able to throw the football away, because those are the types of plays that happen when you're trying to be a hero and not just do exactly what you're coached to do.
Well, the pendulum is swung. Kinner fights his way to the 2, second and goal. It was 17-0 Texas. It looked like it was going to be smooth sailing. Kansas has refused to go away. They've got a chance to make it a 1-score game. Kinner. That time he stopped. No gain. 3rd and goal for the Jayhawks.
And when you run twice like they have here in these first 2 chances, as a defense, you better be sitting on your heels waiting for that play action pass, because
coming out of this.
That's usually what tends to happen.
I'll see a quarterback counter out of this as well.
Trips right. Willis rolling to his right. He'll try to run for it. And it's a touchdown for Kansas.
Difficult at times on the outside as a defensive back when you're going with a receiver. You expect the front to keep containment. There was no containment on the outside. He did step out of bounds at the 1. I think you review this. This is going to be overturned. He was out of bounds at the 1-yard line right there. You can see his foot just catch right at the point. Watch right there as it gets steps out of bounds.
Touchdown. The previous play is under further review.
This is going to be overturned.
And the line judge waited before signaling. Okay, Keith, if this is overturned, the ball's going to be at the 1-yard line. It's going to be 4th down. A field goal still makes it a one possession game. If you're David Beatty, do you take the points or do you play for 6 or 7?
He makes a lot more money than I do, but I'd take the 3 points. Just to be honest with you, I would make it a 1-possession game. Momentum in the game on your side. You do not want to walk away from this great opportunity without any points.
And that's why I would go the other way, because they've got the momentum right now. You try to punch this thing on, and really what it does, this puts Texas on their heels. You get turnovers for points. You get some of those back that you've given up already on the 14 that Texas has gotten off of turnovers. And at the end of the day, this is whole field position for Texas offense. So if you don't go for it, and that's why teams, it's always the big debate here on whether you go for it in these types of situations. But if I'm Kansas, what do you have to lose here?
Well, you're absolutely right. I said that early on the first drive of the game. I do believe in that. But sometimes you feel like that maybe you have gathered enough momentum.
The runner's left foot was out of bounds with the ball in his possession short of the goal line. It's going to be 4th down and goal at the 1-yard line on the right hash.
Wow.
All right, well, this is the decision now for David Beatty. To go for 3. We're going to run the offense back out on the field.
helps his offense.
It is. DeAndre Mann in at running back. The give is to Mann. Fighting his way forward. The ball comes out. Recovered by Kansas in the end zone. The ball squirted free. Ben Johnson fell on it.
I don't think this is a touchdown.
On fourth down, only the player who fumbles the ball can recover it. By rule, the ball is dead where the player fumbled the football. It's Texas's ball, 1st and 10 at the 1-yard line.
That is a big play right there. Goal line stand from your defense, and Jason Hall, I got to give credit to the young man. He came downhill, and he squared him up and allowed his teammates to get back to the ball carrier. And I actually believe the fumble was caused by the fullback trying to hit him from behind to put him in. But that was a fine play from number 31, Jason Hall. You'll see him here. I mean, he just stands man up squarely. That's how you tackle. And notice those legs. He keeps churning those legs, trying to run, push him back. That is the only way that can happen. But this is a good momentum swinging play for Texas and for this defense. What a win to come out here and to be able to hold them in a goal line situation like this.
Yeah, and that's the difference between 3rd and 4th down. If that's 3rd down, you recover the ball in the end zone. That is a touchdown. On 4th down, you can't advance it.
That's a huge play, and it changes the momentum of the game. And sometimes that happens. We were just talking about what do you do in that scenario, and now you're backed up. You'll be back to the 1-yard line. If you're Kansas, you tell your defense here, you've got to find a way to get a stop. Get a 3-and-out right here. Get us an opportunity to keep this momentum. And for Texas offensively, you got to push this ball out of here.
We're going to step aside. 6:05 to go here in the first half. Texas by 10. Our game day crew will break down the first half of Texas on Texas Game Day Halftime presented by HEB. Make sure to stick around for post-game interviews and analysis on Texas Game Day Final powered by Chevy Silverado. Well, Keith, you said at the top of the broadcast this has been a Jekyll and Hyde Texas team. We've seen Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in this first half.
Well, 157 yards of offense, 2 huge pass plays in the first quarter. Since then, folks, 27 yards of offense in the second quarter.
A shadow of their own goalpost, Jonathan Gray, straight up the middle. And he gives Texas a little bit of breathing room. Longhorns opened the game on a 17-0 run, a couple of big plays through the air, an 84-yard touchdown to John Burt. Another long pass to Lorenzo Joe set up a field goal, 14 points off of Kansas turnovers. And Texas up by 10 despite being outgained right now by the Jayhawks. To Gray, and he gets to the 8-yard line, so 3rd down coming up. And now if you're David Beatty in Kansas, you look at this. If you can get off the field here, you're working with a short field for your offense.
Well, it's absolutely imperative. When you look at what Kansas is doing, only 2 down linemen. Their 2 tackles have really played well in this first half. They stand up both defensive ends. It's a 4 front. It's a 4-man front, but only 2 guys with their hand down in the dirt. And those 2 tackles right there and right there have done an outstanding job.
Bird's going to keep this one. Chased by Armstrong. Glatzik will try to close. Armstrong makes the tackle, and it's 4th down. Texas goes 3-and-out from inside the 10.
Yeah, and Torrance Armstrong Jr., 6'4", 225 from right up the street in Houston, Texas, H-Town. Watch him track Gerard Hurd here. And I love the angle that he took. He knew he wasn't going to be able to catch him. He changed his angle, made more of a flat angle, which allowed him to chase him down the line of scrimmage. Look, hey, all that dancing behind the line of scrimmage doesn't mean anything. Armstrong Jr. doing a fine job there and making an individual effort and helping his team get off the field on 3rd down.
Dixon will punt from the back of his end zone. Barbell muffs it. I believe Kansas was able to recover. They got that one. So another near turnover for the Jayhawks. Kansas will have it in plus territory when we come back. Texas has never lost to Kansas in Austin. The Longhorns have won 12 straight in this series. It's a 24-14 game. We've seen ugly football, though, on both sides in this first half.
Well, you look at it, both teams have had times when they really have excelled. Kansas on their second drive I thought was outstanding. And then defensively, they really struggled. Kansas has come back, taking the momentum here in this second quarter. And this is going to be a three-point game if they can take care of business in this last 3:56.
Last year's National Junior College Player of the Year, Keon Kinner to the 40 for a gain of 3, 2nd and 7. Remember the last Kansas drive stalled at the 1-yard line. And DeAndre Mann fumbled on 4th down.
And Malik Jefferson also off the sideline now into the ball game.
Back to Kinner. And he spins his way to the 36. David Beatty told us he wants to be able to run the football. Kansas just hasn't been able to do that this season because for the most part they've been down so much.
You can't run it when you're down 3 or 4 touchdowns and keep your kids involved in the game. They want to try to get the ball down the field.
False start. Offense. Number 78. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Larry Mazik, the right tackle.
Yeah, and part of that is Texas went with the bare front. So they've got 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, and it makes it hard for the offensive line to determine who's coming on the blitz. That time they only rushed 4. They dropped Malik Jefferson back. But I believe that was the confusion. And sometimes you get a little antsy when you're on that offensive line as the snap is approaching.
And I think they'll heat them up right here again.
Yeah.
Texas has 3 sacks in this first half.
No middle of the field safety. It looks like the blitz is coming here.
That's a good timeout. I think they really didn't change the play. Willis came to the line of scrimmage, guys, and looked at that and didn't make the change. The sideline saw that change and came in, and you call timeout in that scenario. Let's go back. Now you anticipate the blitz. You know, I still think they'll heat them up and come after them here.
Big 3rd down. Kansas started 0 for 5 on 3rd down, 3 for 4 since. And Texas on the season has allowed opponents to convert on 49% of 3rd downs.
Yeah, and one player that's really played exceptionally well on 3rd down has been Peter Jenkins. And I think a lot of that is what he's been able to get in his pre-snap reads. Before the ball is snapped, you can see Peter Jenkins really trying to figure out what the offense is doing and what they're giving you. And when you've got a player like that in the middle of the field, you rely on him in these types of plays to tell us what is coming, what's about to happen. Peter Jenkins, though, is having a fine senior year, and it has a lot to do with the way that he's really developed mentally, not physically.
Leading tackler and most experienced linebacker. Screen pass to Kinner. Still on his feet, and Kinner able to pick up a 1st down to move the chains for Kansas.
Boy, that's a great individual effort right there, Ahmad. I didn't mean to step on you, but Kinner does a great job on the outside right there. He should have been brought down short of the 1st down. They're right back to the line of scrimmage.
You talked about those missed opportunities here. You'll see a poor angle there from Duke Thomas as they're running this up-tempo offense.
Willis downfield in traffic, and that's caught inside the 20-yard line. Shaquem Barbell with the reception. It goes for 14 yards.
And when the quarterback gets on the move like that, if you're those linebackers, you've got to find the wide receivers. Turn around, pick up the guy that's in your zone. That time there, the linebackers didn't do that.
This Kansas offense has confidence right now. Screen to Barbell. Driven back by Holton Hall after a gain of 3.
Tell you what, quarterback took a beating right there. You can see right as he delivered the football. Willis is breathing hard right there, trying to bend over at his waist. They're still trying to go quickly. Tough young man to stay in the game right now.
Willis 11 out of 22, 155 yards and a touchdown. Back to the air. That's caught by Barbell at the 10-yard line.
Well, that ball did not come out of his hands clean. You can see him jumping a little bit right now, Willis, away from the football, but he had an open receiver. That ball delivered on time, might have gone for 6.
I agree, but I also thought Duke Thomas coming on the blitz did a good job of jumping up and trying to obstruct that passing window. That's all you can do when they're running a 3-step read, is try to distract the pass.
Less than a minute to go, 3rd and 4. Willis will step up, has some room. Takes a big hit, but he picks up a first down. Peter Jenkins delivered the blow. The clock will momentarily stop with 37 seconds. It's 1st and goal for Kansas.
Yeah, he's really shown that he can make a difference with his feet today. We've seen him with some big runs. That time they're making the Texas defense pay on 3rd down.
And he'll spike the ball to stop the clock with 34 seconds. Kansas still has 1 timeout left. It'll be 2nd and goal. Is a run play on the table here, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, with the timeout, there's definitely on the run play. I would think it would be some type of draw where you show pass and run off of it. I don't think it'd be a lined up and a power.
Willis looking, nobody home, and he's sacked.
And a fine job of coverage there by all of the guys in the secondary. It was 0 coverage, which means there's no help in the middle of the field, and it's you and your man, and you've got to make sure that you track him all over the field. And this secondary is what allowed this defensive line to be able to get to Willis, because they were covering so well on the back end.
They're just going to take this down to 3 seconds, 2 seconds, call timeout, kick the field goal.
Are they going to take the points this time? Kansas uses its final timeout of the half. And boy, if you're David Beatty, you might be going back to that previous possession right now, what-ifing yourself at halftime.
Well, I think the possession, though, as you guys talked about, by going for it on 4th, kept a short field that allowed them to get back into this game. I don't think you can add the points together here, but the great thing, if you're looking for Texas defense, they have prevented them from getting in the end zone. Now they're going to limit it to a field goal attempt here, but I think there's so many things to look at this point of the half. Kansas has rushed for more yards in this half, and they've run it in the last 5 out of the last 6 ball games. So they're able to move the ball on the ground. The other part of it, they're very much in this game because they've stopped the Texas offense in the 2nd quarter.
They've got a chance to go into the locker room down 1 score despite 3 first-half turnovers. 26-yarder from Bartolota. Kick is up, it hits the upright.
What a break.
Kansas had a goal-to-go situation on each of its last 2 possessions, and David Beatty's team not able to get any points.
Well, that's huge. They weren't able to get points when they got a 1st and goal. The first time, they get 1st and goal with another drive right before the half. Both times come away empty.
Texas will go into the locker room with a 10-point lead. We go down to Jane with Charlie Strong.
Coach, I know that you guys want to be a run-first team, but only managing 47 rushing yards in the first half. How do you make adjustments in the second to get those numbers up?
Well, we got to run the football. We haven't done a great job of just moving people at the point of attack, and we have to do that.
Kansas is really beginning to find a rhythm in their passing game. What adjustments do you make for the second half?
Well, we got to put pressure on the quarterback and make sure that we can stay in the coverage.
All right, best of luck, Coach.
Okay.
It's a game that's a lot closer than many would have expected. Texas by 10. Let's get it now to Lowell Galindo and our game day crew.
Texas Game Day Halftime is presented by ATB. Here's your host, Lowell Galindo.
Texas got off to a 17-0 start, in part because of what Ahmad Brooks calls 18-wheeler. It's good to hear Ahmad's voice back on the broadcast. Texas up the break 24.
Texas by 10 as we get ready for the start of the third quarter here in Austin. It is Schroff, Ahmad Brooks, Keith Moreland. Ahmad, if you're Texas, we saw the best and worst of this team in the first half.
Yeah, it's exactly what you've seen all season long, the highs and the lows. In the first quarter, they were outstanding, getting to the quarterback, making big plays. The second quarter, the complete opposite. It looked like the team last week that lost to Iowa State.
What does David Beatty tell his team?
Well, first of all, he tells his team he should be in the lead at halftime here. There's no question about that. But they won the last 22 minutes of the first half, without a doubt. They're within striking distance. Now they've got to have a good stop defensively here to start the third quarter.
Kansas was a 4-touchdown underdog coming into this game. Let's go down to Jane.
Yeah, I'm here. I got just talked to Coach right now, and he says he really likes what his team and their approach was to this game. He said at the half, a lot of great attitudes, good mindset, and his team is absolutely still in this game. Guys, back to you.
And no question, you look at the last two Kansas drives in that first half, got inside the Texas 10, 0 points. 3 turnovers in that first half, still just a 10-point game. Here's DJ Johnson. And he dances to the 16-yard line, and that's where Texas will start.
That play looked like it just wasn't hitting on all cylinders. It looked like it might have been designed to go right, and that's what they may be talking about here. But something didn't seem right. DJ Johnson didn't have many blockers out in front of him, Keith.
I think the ball carried him off away from where he was trying to go that time, and he started looked up and says, I can't go to the right, I've got to go to the left. Not great starting field position for Texas. They need to come back and establish the run. The one thing that jumped off the page to me at halftime, the inability to run the football by Texas was really evident in that second quarter.
They'll run it on the first play of the third quarter. Foreman, and he is to the 24-yard line, a gain of 7.
So up-tempo offense here, and Foreman is the guy that can get you going with his power running style and his ability to really put pressure on defenders by his physical style of running.
Back to Deontay Foreman. And finally wrestled down by Fish Smithson. But Foreman picks up a first down.
They've had success throughout the early part of the year running in the 2-back set. They come out here starting the second half with 2 backs in the backfield.
And an emphasis on keeping it on the ground, Keith.
And I think you challenge it. If I'm the head coach, if I was Charlie Strong at halftime, I'd come in and say, folks, we're very lucky to be in the league. We need to go back out, establish the line of scrimmage, and run the football downhill.
Given the profile of Kansas, a winless team, one that's been outscored by almost 40 points per game against Big 12 competition, a close win here plays almost like a loss. On the ground again. And a gain of a yard by Foreman. We've seen every carry so far to start the third quarter. This is a Texas team that has not scored a third quarter touchdown in each of the last 4 games.
And that goes back to starting games fast after halftime. Their inability to be able to get drives, sustain drives, and make it to the other side of the field and score touchdowns.
Bird on third down, rolling to his right, throws on the run. John Burke with the first down catch, and Texas moves the chains.
Best throw that I've seen him make all day today. It was on time, on rhythm, and on the money. Watch him here, moving to his right. And Keith, you said it earlier in the second quarter. He had one of his better throws in the second quarter, and he comes back here, finds John Bird on a comeback. It was a nice route, but watch the quickness here. He threw that ball. That ball was out of his hands before Bird came out of his break.
With an 84-yard touchdown catch in this game. Jonathan Gray now, and a flag.
Rhythm. Get into a rhythm, and then all of a sudden you see a flag. Takes you out of what you want to try to do.
False start. Offense. Right guard was going down in the snap. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Like Patrick Vahe there, number 77.
Charlie Strong rocking the sweatshirt to start the second half.
Temperature changed a little bit.
Well, the temperature could change in other ways. This outcome isn't favorable for Texas. Here's Gray. Changes direction. He's got the 40 and stumbles out of bounds at the 43.
Yeah, that play was designed to go right, and there was nothing there. I mean, and this looks like he was running around hopelessly, but, you know, give Jonathan great credit. It was designed to go to the left side of your screen. He has to cut back. He makes a couple guys miss. Very innovative play and creativity shown there from Jonathan Gray.
Here's Hurd, speed option. No gain. So 3rd and long for Texas.
They ran right into the blitz on that particular time.
Yeah, sometimes a blitz is, you know, people say run blitz. There's no such thing as a run blitz. Ahmad, I'll tell you, you're blitzing, you're blitzing. True. If the pass play's going, it's a pass play. If it's a running play, you hope that the opposition's running into your blitz, and that's exactly what happened. This is a big play for Kansas right here to get off the field.
Kansas, who's having struggles defensively on 3rd down. Here's the blitz. Pressure from up the middle by Roberts. The ball is tipped, and it's incomplete. Marquise Roberts, the South Carolina transfer, with the pressure up the middle, and that got Hurd discombobulated.
Sometimes, as an offensive lineman, I have got to get a piece of the defender. Even though I'm trying to set up a blitz, there was too many people that got quick access. I mean, Hurd was in retreat from the very beginning, and then as a defensive lineman or a linebacker especially, oh, it's a screen, so it's a very tough play to set up.
Ryan Shadler to return this punt. Shadler with a fair catch at the 19, a 38-yard punt. Texas scoreless on its first drive of the 3rd quarter. Kansas football when we come back. The story of the first half for Kansas. Missed opportunities, Ahmad.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it here. They get stopped there on the 1-yard line. Jason Hall comes up, makes a big play. They fumble into the end zone. Can't recover on a 4th down. They come back here. They get a costly turnover from Hurd, and then it goes off the upright. And the last 2 times inside of the 10, they come away with 0 points. Just an amazing turn of events there for Kansas.
Texas shows blitz. Give is to Kinner. And he's tackled by Jenkins at the 25-yard line. This is a Kansas team that is winless on the season. One of 2 winless FBS teams along with UCF. The Jayhawks have lost 33 straight road games. Kinner again, up the middle with some room. And he's to the 36-yard line, a 1st down for Kansas.
We talked about being able to run the football, control the offensive line, and stop the run. They haven't been able to stop the run to start this 2nd half.
Jayhawks going quickly. Kinner once again bounces off his old lineman and then gobbled up in the backfield by Desmond Jackson and Bryce Cottrell.
Yeah, and that was Hassan Ridgeway. I mean, you watch him here. He just pushes the guard back into the running back, reestablishing the line of scrimmage. Or pardon me, yeah, that was Hassan Ridgeway. And those are the types of plays he's made over the last few weeks. But when he's playing in the opposing team's backfield, he's a dangerous player.
A loss of 2, Willis to the air, and he's got Tyler Patrick, the redshirt freshman from the Woodlands. 3rd down for Kansas after a gain of 8.
Great play fake right there. Did a nice job of holding the defenders, keeping their hands down to allow him the opportunity to throw the football. Big 3rd down here.
Willis to throw. Jefferson bats it down.
Quick passing game there, and I believe that was number 40, Nashawn Hughes. And we talked about it. Willis probably went back to the coaching staff. They recognized, look, we need to get this kid in situations that are manageable. So they started going to the quick passing game, short intermediate routes. That time there, this defensive line, I bet it was one of the adjustments. Hey, guys, if we can't get back to him, we've got to throw our hands up, obstruct those passing windows. Nice job there from Hughes.
Wyman gets this one off. Bouncer rolls inside the 10 and stops dead at the 7-yard line. A 51-yard punt by Matthew Wyman. Texas's defense comes up on 3rd down. Nashawn Hughes got his paw on it. Texas will start inside its own 10-yard line. Second possession of this third quarter. Longhorns leading by 10. Texas has to go 3-1 down the stretch to become bowl eligible. This is one you circle on the calendar before the season and you say you got to beat Kansas.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at the scenario that's in your 3-5 coming into this ball game. You got to put yourself in position because you haven't played well on the road, and 2 of the last 3 ball games are on the road.
Foreman with some running room on the edge. Foreman breaks free into Kansas territory. Deontay Foreman gone. A 93-yard run.
I think we just saw Foreman grow up. Guys, I've seen him pound on the ground. I've seen him have some breakaway runs. We saw it at Oklahoma. But never have I seen him hit the corner, burn past DBs, and then leave them in the dust with breakaway speed. And if this young man can prove to do this, I mean, you're looking at a running back that I think this Texas team already likes his physical style. But if he can be a home run hitter like that, this could be the next great running back for the University of Texas.
Texas's 2 longest plays of the season have come in this game. An 84-yard TD pass in the first quarter, a 93-yard run by Foreman here in the third.
Texas football on Longhorn Network, presented by My All-American, is brought to you by Yamaha, makers of Viking side-by-sides. Yamaha, real world tough.
Deontay Foreman just ripped off the 3rd longest run in Texas history, a 93-yard touchdown, longest since 1967.
Wow, that was impressive.
And Rose kicks this one out of the end zone.
Well, he does a nice job of using the speed at the end, but this great blocking right up front, right on the outside as they seal the corner, and then he gets to the corner right there, and then right here. Ahmad, you and I have gotten to see this young man a lot, and we're both excited about this young man as a running back, but I have not seen that speed before. That is a game changer right there.
Yeah, you're right. And Connor Williams, a nice job of sealing it here. And even the down the field blocking down the wide receiver, his brother, twin brother, the other Foreman, opening up the lane. But the breakaway speed, that is exciting. And if you are looking and you're a Texas football fan, we've seen this young man be a bruiser. But to be a back that has breakaway speed, that's when you're going to the next level.
Taylor Cox on first down. And he's to the 29, a gain of 4. Cox, a 25-year-old senior who returned to the field last month against Baylor. It was his first action in 2 years. It's been an injury-plagued career at Kansas. An Achilles injury wiped out all of last season, and he took a medical red shirt in 2013. Willis steps up. Met by Jenkins at the 30, and they'll give him the 31-yard line, so 3rd down for Kansas.
Well, they changed the complexion of this game. A little more energy out here in the 3rd quarter, no question. 93-yard run will do that, but the difference is that defensive front getting pressure now. Willis not having time to step into his throws, cannot go through his progressions at this point.
Jefferson blitzes off the edge. Downfield and incomplete, intended for Crawley. Bolton Hill on the coverage.
Yeah, this is good coverage. And the concentration there. He didn't give up on the play. Hill didn't. And you'll see at the end of this thing, watch his right hand. The ability there, if he gives up on that play, that's a catch on the sideline. But the young freshman growing up right before our eyes, those are the types of plays that you expect veterans to make. When you're beat, sometimes you get your dauber down. In between the play, you give up. Bolton Hill, the young freshman, surviving on the play and making a big play on 3rd down.
Johnson had a little trouble, able to recover. Now using his speed to get to the 46-yard line. Ahmad, at the top of the broadcast, you said Texas needed explosive plays. We've seen a few.
Yeah, we have, and they actually came out, and they were ready to go. Here you see Gerard Hurd letting one loose on the first play of the game to John Burt over the top, and then this one here, the big run. Runs and passes. Foreman doing a nice job finding space, and then the breakaway speed there. Those are the types of plays that this offense needs to get them going. Let's see how it pays off now, Keith, as they're back out here with a short field to try to take advantage of.
We see the two-back look again.
3 and out defensively, too.
Hurd off play action. He'll take a shot downfield for Marcus Johnson. Had his man beat, unable to hold on.
And Marcus had about 3 or 4 steps on the defensive back. Completely blew by Brandon Stewart, the junior from Cedar Hill, Texas. And Johnson here just wishes he'd have had this one back. Just looked like he misjudged it, wasn't able to run exactly through the catch. Actually ran by it. And if it hits your hands like that as a wide receiver, there are no excuses. You got to haul that in, you see. And that's when your quarterback, the next time going to him, you hope that he doesn't debate on whether he's going to you because you didn't make the catch.
This is Jonathan Gray into Kansas territory, and it'll bring up 3rd down. Ahmad, to go back to Marcus Johnson, that has been part of his story here at Texas. He struggled with drops in his career.
He's got exceptional speed, and you look at some of the plays that he's made as there's a Kansas Jayhawk player out on the field. Looks like number 8, Brandon Stewart, the junior cornerback. But to your point about Marcus Johnson, when you watch this kid in practice, Keith, and you've seen him, can blow off the top of a coverage. But as we know, sometimes fast guys tend to have a problem catching the deep ball. And there, he's actually been pretty decent at it, but they want to get him involved to be able to stretch the field. So when you have those one-on-one opportunities where you win and you drop a ball over the top, not only does it destroy the coach's confidence in you to go back to you, but the quarterbacks now may go, I don't know if I want to go to this kid, but he's matured, but those are the types of plays that a senior has to make.
Ball skills. Sometimes ball skills is knowing right there. If he comes back, he didn't really slow down. If he stops and comes back and just catch the football, it's a big play. I felt like he tried to continue the play to get into the end zone and try to run through it. You know, there's sometimes great defensive backs, they talk about having great ball skills. I think great receivers have got great ball skills to find the football.
Very true.
3rd and 6. Texas needs to get to the 43 of Kansas. Marcus Johnson lined up at the bottom of your screen. There's the blitz. Hurd over the middle, and that's a strike. And a 1st down. Ryan Newsom with the reception.
Yeah, and here's what I like about this. Last week I saw some 3rd and short situations, and you heard me say it, no outlets for Gerard to throw to. This time they had 3 outlets underneath routes on a 3rd and short situation, and the young freshman Newsom doing a fine job of just snatching that one out of the air in traffic in between 2 defenders.
And know you're going to get blown up too.
Yeah.
Good genes there. His cousin, Hall of Fame tight end Ozzie Newsom. Hurd downfield for Johnson again, and he can't hold on again. That time he had Martinez Ogletree beat.
Missed opportunities on big plays. And there you have it, the senior with two opportunities.
There's
and
some contact right here. Is there contact right before that? Get his arm pulled down. I believe that right arm's getting pulled down before the football gets there.
It did. And look where the official's at. It's hard for him to see that because he's on the backside of the play. But as a wide receiver, once again, it goes back to if it hits you in your hands, you got to come up with it.
Hurd, far sideline, that's caught. And it'll bring up 3rd down. Caleb Blewett with the reception. 5th catch of the year for the tight end.
Yeah, I'm really excited about his development, and one of the most unselfish players on this team. He's played defense, offense, he's played it all. And then when you talk about the middle of the field threats, he's really helped stabilize this group as much as he can, because Texas right now is in dire need of having a middle of the field threat at either the H-back position, one that can catch passes, or at the slot wide receiver position, a bigger body that you can bring in as a big target.
Here's the blitz on 3rd down. Hurd. And That time he overthrew Newsome, so 4th down for Texas.
He saw the pressure coming. This time, though, once again, just threw this ball with too much force and probably had a second fewer to be able to allow the wide receiver to create more separation. But he did at least recognize the blitz, and that's why he got the ball out of his hand so quickly.
They're going to go for it here on 4th down.
What do you make of the call?
Well, I think you're in a position here too far for a field goal. And at this point, I think you're trying to separate, put this game to rest.
2 receivers to each side. Play clock down to 5. Hurd over the middle to DJ Johnson. And Johnson able to pick up the 1st down for Texas. Big 4th down conversion.
Slants. The last 2 conversions have come on slants. And I'm just glad that Jay Norvell is calling those routes today and that the wide receivers are running those routes and catching the ball. Because when you've got a young quarterback that's still trying to develop his passing game, I mean, look, put it in front of his face, like I said in the 1st half. He can't miss wide receivers that are running in his line of view, and that time there, Hurd with a big connection there on 4th down.
Again to the air. That's Burt, turns the corner. There's that blinding speed. And the former hurdles champion of the state of Florida picks up 19 yards.
That's an excellent job of a quick step drop, paint it to the outside, and then make the move for Burt right here. And watch him try to finish. He was trying to hurdle right there to get into the end zone.
I like it. Just a simple hitch route. And he just does the rest. Burt, you know, has been known as a deep threat. That time they're trying to show that he could take it the distance from short distances as well.
3 catches, 115 yards for the freshman out of Tallahassee. Foreman into the end zone untouched. And Texas starting to pull away.
That 2-back set that you like so much, Keith, and we talked about the unselfishness from both Foreman and Gray when they run this set. And that time there, Gray comes up with a big block to seal off and opened up the hole there for Foreman. I really like how they work together in that set. I'm with you.
I really like the set in the offensive line. Big hole that time.
Point after by Rose is good. Deontay Foreman with his 2nd touchdown run of this 3rd quarter. Texas had not scored a touchdown in the 3rd quarter in its previous 4 games. 2 tonight, both by Deontay Foreman, the sophomore.
Well, you look at it, 2 different styles. One, obviously, the long run. I really like the fact that here in the 2nd half, the running backs get the credit, but it's created up front. And I really think the offensive line has controlled the line of scrimmage here in the 2nd half.
Another touchback by Rose. We also saw Gerard Hurd be very efficient and effective in the short passing game on that last drive.
Yeah, what I like about the quick passing game is you don't give him a lot of reads. You know, in the quick passing game, there's usually 1 option, 2 option run. And you see it here now, they're running these slant routes across the middle of the field. And I didn't see as many of these last week. Even here, a hitch to Burt where he can try to make some things happen in one-on-one coverage. But the wide receivers tonight are beating one-on-one matchups. Gerard Hurd is finding them underneath. And I really like that style of play calling because, like I said, when you've got a young quarterback growing and developing his passing game, boy, does it help him having short routes to throw to.
Keon Kinner on 1st down. Breaks the tackle, stiff arm, and finally dropped at the 40-yard line by P.J. Locke. 1st down for Kansas. There's Ryan Willis, true freshman, making just his 5th start of the season. Michael Cummings was thought to be the starter in spring camp, but he tore his ACL in the spring game, and it's been a revolving door. Jeremiah Booker taken down at the 45-yard line. Montel Cozart was the starter to begin the season. He's out indefinitely with a shoulder sprain. You had DeAndre Ford, who came in for an injured Cozart. Ford out for the year with torn thumb ligaments, and Ryan Willis, who was not plan A, B, or C, but plan D back in April.
Wow.
Now the starter, and he's played well enough to convince this coaching staff he's also the future. And that time, he's eaten alive by Desmond Jackson.
Yeah, just a simple three-man rush, and he goes unblocked right up the middle. And you'll see it here. Nobody touches him right in the middle of the field. Nice swim move there by Desmond Jackson. They like to call this kid Tank. That time there, just rolling over the quarterback.
Miscommunication up front. Let a guy loose like that with a three-man rush.
That's true.
And that's just a miscommunication.
Fifth sack of the game for this Longhorn defense. Skinner across midfield, first down and more. Still on his feet, the ball comes out. It's loose. And P.J. Locke covers it up for Texas. Fourth turnover for Kansas.
Well, at the end of this play, there's times when you're playing defense and you're taught. In practice, we see it on a regular basis. A guy gets by you, come back, knock the football out. And that's exactly what happened. Had no idea it was coming from behind him. And he's able to secure that football before he gets out of bounds right here. You know, right there, because that ball could have been easily out of bounds. But you can see it right there.
Great effort there by Nashawn Hughes, who ends up causing that fumble. He's a defensive lineman. He traces this play down. And they tried to run a running back screen in behind him to slow down this rush. And he puts his foot in the ground, changes direction, heads back down, chases down a guy that's much smaller, much faster. And the effort there at the end of the play is what resulted in the turnover. And P.J. Locke doing a fine job of concentrating and keeping this ball in bounds.
I think this is
They might have to look at this. Yeah, I'm not sure he possessed that ball.
Sidelined by Texas. The play's under further review.
If he got it,
he's got to possess it inbounds.
When he first got it, if he possessed it, I believe it would be a turnover. But when he finally secured the football, his feet are out of bounds. His legs are out of bounds at the end of this play. So I'm not sure we get a chance to see it again right here. When he first possesses the football right here, is he down inbounds? Does he have full possession? And the ball gets away from him right there. So I'm not sure he has possession, and then by the time he secures it again, he's out of bounds.
Well, at that moment, if they say he possessed it, the ground, remember, can't cause a fumble.
You're right.
So if he possesses it, he then becomes a ball carrier. And the same rules would apply. And if the ground causes the fumble, if that's how the referees see it, it would be Texas ball. If they rule he didn't possess it, and then the ball came out, it's going to be Kansas ball. And remember, the ruling on the field was a fumble recovered by Locke. So indisputable video evidence to overturn that. And, you know, looking at that a second and third time, I think he might have had possession, and then the ground forces it loose. But that's going to be the official's call. And again, indisputable video evidence is what you need to overturn a call.
This is a great job by Hughes right here, though. Coming in from behind. You can see that right hand going in there to knock it out as he's making the play. Then great hustle down the field. I mean, when you're a defensive lineman, that plays by you. Here comes the call.
After further review, when the Texas player finally recovered the ball, he was out of bounds. So therefore, it's a forward fumble out of bounds. The ball goes back to the spot of the fumble. Kansas retains the ball, 1st and 10 at the 34-yard line.
So it was ruled that Locke never possessed the ball inbounds, and a break for Kansas.
A lot of times after these type of plays, you'll see a team try to get a quick strike.
Absolutely.
See if they try to get into the end zone on the first down play.
Question is, can they protect Willis long enough? It's a run to Cox. And he's taken down by Malik Jefferson, the freshman from Mesquite. Jefferson, the crown jewel of Charlie Strong's 2015 recruiting class. Cox again on the sweep. And he's dropped 3 yards shy of the first down marker. So 3rd and 3 for Kansas.
That's what I really love about Holton Hill. Hey, he tries to play like a complete defensive back. And I remember when I was here, Dwayne Aquino used to say, don't be the guy that covers well but doesn't come up and strike a blow. And you see it here, boom. I mean, he lays into him, and Holton Hill's a big frame. But I love his aggressiveness. The fact that this young man wants to be a complete defensive back. He just doesn't want to cover guys.
Hassan Ridgeway being helped off the field.
That's a big young man.
He's a large man. He certainly is.
This Texas defense has found an identity over the last few games. They've been getting to the quarterback even in the loss to Iowa State. They missed a few sacks, but still ended up with 6. And they get Willis again for the 6th time tonight.
5-man pressure. Everybody did their job. They had their gap. You watch it here. They force him up into the middle because there's contain up top. There's contain at the bottom. So you force him into your defensive tackles that are getting pushed. That's the way it's supposed to look. Here, there was just nowhere for Willis to get away. And the defense doing a good job as Kansas comes back out here on a 4th down trying to go for it.
You saw Vance Bedford, the defensive coordinator for Texas, challenged his whole unit this past week. Willis harassed again. They'll chuck it toward the sideline. Incomplete. Turnover on downs.
They just brought more people than Kansas could block that time, and especially when you've got a 4th down and nearly 10 yards to go, you got to have a little time, and the pressure got to him in the last 2 times. And you can see a young quarterback too. He's got to look and find a hot receiver.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where even though you've got to throw it short and hope your guy makes a move to make the 1st down, but you just can't hold the football. Again, that's experience. There's no substitute for it.
Deontay Foreman has had a big 3rd quarter, a couple of rushing TDs, including one for 93 yards. Here's Burt. And Burt on the end around is going to be corralled for a loss of 2. Our Toyota turning point. We're going to give it to Deontay Foreman. 2nd series for Texas in this 3rd quarter. Ahmad Brooks said he didn't know Foreman could run like this.
No, I mean, he's separating from defenders, and number 8 there is a cornerback, Brandon Stewart, and he kept the distance. And, you know, I remember a back that I played with here that used to lean that head back like that named Ricky Williams when he got in the open field. I'm not calling him Ricky, but boy, did it remind me him breaking a big run like that one.
A gain of 7 yards. I'll tell you what, Ricky Williams in his career had some big games against Kansas.
Yeah.
We've seen some big games from Texas running backs against the Jayhawks. Cedric Benson had one. Who was the guy when you were here?
Hodges Mitchell. Yeah, my guy. We used to call him Super.
Bird's going to take off. There's that great speed as he skips out of bounds after a gain of 23.
They even had a spy on him on this particular play, and he just gets lost in traffic. You see him here. He couldn't find him, and by the time he found him, you do not want to be even with Gerard Hurd. This kid has exceptional speed. It's elite, and that time there, once he's next to you, you're chasing if you see the back of his jersey.
Well, they took away the inside seam that time. That was one time he needed to put it down. They were trying to go for a little quick slant. Took it away from him. He had to put that football down. They will take this to the 4th quarter.
Well, they put a scare into this crowd for a little while. It looked like Kansas had a window to get back into the game, but Texas, with one of its better third-quarter efforts of the season, D'Onta Foreman was the big star in the last 15 minutes. 2 rushing touchdowns. Texas can breathe a little easier as we go to the fourth. Start of the fourth quarter here at DKR. Texas in control thanks to D'Onta Foreman's big third quarter. Gerard Hurd. No, this is Tyrone swoops into the game, throwing for the end zone, and it's caught for a touchdown. Armonte Foreman.
That was just a great job of adjusting there, because Tyrone Miller Jr., number 19, the young man from Kansas, from Ann Arbor, Michigan, was in the right location. But it was the way you see here, Foreman contort his body, great body control, gets that right foot in, concentrates, makes the catch. And how about Tyrone swoops, the 18-wheeler coming in, showing I can do more than just run the football. A big throw, and he gave his wide receiver an opportunity to make a catch.
Yeah, how about brother on brother? First got to congratulate him.
Yeah, no doubt.
33's right down there, putting him up in the air.
And those two got matching back tattoos during the bye week. D'Onta said, "My brother's keeper," and Armonte's, in big bold letters, Foreman.
I wish I had a twin.
I don't know if we can handle that.
Exactly.
No, we can't. We can't.
That was a nice catch there. And this offense coming back, just a big-time throw there. And for this offense, they're finally starting to turn it on here in the second half. And that was something that I wanted to see. How will they make adjustments? Will this coaching staff put them in the proper positions to make plays? And will these players come out here and execute and make plays? And they've been able to do that in the second half, and that's why you're seeing this team continue to break away.
Well, first 2 quarters, they had 31 snaps from center to Texas for 190 yards. Now 52 snaps through 3 quarters for 396. That's not including the touchdown pass we just saw right there. So 200 yards of total offense, 206 yards, as a matter of fact, in the third quarter.
You know, some games you walk away with and you say, if you get a W, you take it and you move on to next week. This is one of these games. Quite frankly, style points matter. Kansas might be the worst team in the FBS. It's a long road ahead for David Beatty and his squad. And if Texas walked out of here with a close win, people still would have questioned the direction this program is heading in. If it was a catastrophic result, a lot of possibilities would be on the minds of people about what could happen. But if you win convincingly, I don't think you gain anything from it, but it's one of those games where you don't lose anything from it either. And last week, Charlie Strong lost a lot of the goodwill that he had built up with that loss in Ames.
Yeah, here's what I think you gain. I'm not sure how much you gain from a program beating up on a team that's winless, but I think from a player standpoint, right, you gain confidence.
This is what you're supposed to do.
Make some plays, and they just wish they would have had this performance last week on the road. But like I said, the adjustments, and they didn't play well in the second quarter, but they've managed to come out here in the third and the fourth quarter and really turn it on.
Texas jumped out to a 17-0 lead. The Longhorns led 24-7 at one point in the first half. Kansas got to within 10, but had 2 drives inside the Texas 10, which stalled. The Jayhawks got no points as the pass incomplete to Taylor. And then on Texas's first drive of the third quarter, Kansas able to force a punt. And you thought maybe there's a window here for this team to get back in. Texas got to stop it. From there, it's been all Longhorns.
And they were backed up. I mean, the Longhorns went 4 consecutive possessions where they had it. They're 17, they're 1, they're 16 in their own 7. One of those turned into a 93-yard run.
Willis pumps, finds Patrick. And Tyler Patrick, who began the season on the scout team, with a nice pickup of 15. He's a Texas native from the Woodlands. And part of David Beatty's philosophy in building back this Kansas program is to recruit the Lone Star State.
both of these teams have used an awful lot of young players tonight. Both teams getting deep into their rosters tonight. We expected that both teams would, and we saw really in the first half both teams play a lot of young players.
One-man rush. Willis's pass off target as we check in with Jane.
Well, guys, Kansas entered this game 0-8, and they haven't won a game this year, and it doesn't look like they're going to pull off this one either. David Beatty told me that they're not playing for a bowl at this point. He said right now they're just focusing on really day-to-day improvement and pointing out their small victories along the way. He said from the beginning they tried to make winning not be the end all. He said for the older kids, he told them they're part of building something, and what they're doing is important to the community and former Kansas players. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is a team that actually takes away from game planning during the week to focus on development and teaching fundamentals. They're building for next season and beyond. Willis escapes the pressure, and his pass intercepted off the hands of Patrick and into the hands of Deshaun Elliott.
This is a great individual effort by Elliott. Willis trying to make something happen as he gets outside the pocket. He gets away from the rush. He gets outside. This ball's tipped. He throws it back to the inside. But watch the end of this play. It is a really outstanding catch. It's a piece of it. That's hard to do at a dead run. Keeps it up off the ground.
Wow.
That's just a great effort.
Yeah, it is. And when you look at this kid's frame, he's got some incredibly long arms. Reminds me of a guy that I played with, Quentin Jammer, who had these long arms, but that time there I think it really benefited him.
Texas in control, 45-14. Tyrone Swoops still in the game for Texas, and on 1st and 10 he finds Ryan Newsom. Newsom stiff arms his way out of bounds. He's about a yard shy of the marker. Newsom, a true freshman, ESPN 300 recruit, flipped from UCLA. Went to the same high school that Jonathan Gray attended, Alito. High snap. Swoops gets a block from Gray, and there goes Swoops. Another touchdown for the 18-wheeler. Apparently you get mileage out of the 18-wheeler these days. It's a hybrid.
Cross-country trip there. And this was a broken play.
It really was. They were trying to get a mesh in the backfield. Didn't work that way. And Tyrone just put the ball away and took off and outran everybody to the house.
3rd rushing touchdown for Swoops. And I know the opponent is Kansas, and you take that into consideration, but I'm not sure Texas offensively has shown more balance in a game all season.
I couldn't agree with you more. And you know, maybe the Oklahoma game where I thought they were fantastic, where everything was working for them. But yeah, you watch this run here. This is what makes this team special when you've got 2 guys that can play like this. Looks like a broken play. He gets right in behind his lead blocker. Once again, Jay Gray picking up a big block. 18-wheeler. Choo-choo! In the end zone.
Tyrone Swoops may have lost his job as the team's starting quarterback, but he's found a role on this team, and an important one. 3 rushing touchdowns for Swoops. He's also thrown for a score. He's an 18-wheeler. He's been Optimus Prime tonight.
I like it. Yeah, and I've just been so impressed with the way that this young man never quit. And I've got to commend Charlie Strong for going to his offensive staff and saying, hey, we need to figure out a way to get this guy involved. And I've been saying it since last year. Yep. I thought his power running game was the best part of his game. We've seen him make a nice throw there to Foreman, but I think the easiest way to get him involved in this offense, if you're trying to call Hurd the quarterback of the future, is to use him the way they are right now. So I commend this coaching staff for finding ways to utilize the 18-wheeler.
Swoops got playing time last week when Texas was looking for a spark offensively. It's been a different story, though, here at home against Kansas. 52-14. This was only a 10-point game at the half, and you see what the 18-wheeler has done tonight.
Well, I think the other part that brings into, he really does help you when you get in the red zone.
Yeah.
I think Texas has been a much better red zone team since they've gone to this package.
You know, and the two things that package has been a staple for: short yardage, red zone, two of the most critical parts of football. And so what Swoops has been able to do, you know, you can't say enough about his resiliency to come in here and be available to his team and to make plays.
New quarterback for Kansas. It's the redshirt freshman walk-on Keaton Perry. They'll hand it off to Taylor Cox on first down. Perry from Arlington, Texas.
Well, they will still try to work their hurry up. There'll be a lot of different young players on both sides of the ball the rest of the ball game.
Screen pass, and that's Booker. Run out of bounds by Devontae Davis. Now Jeremiah Booker, another one of the building blocks for David Beatty, a freshman from College Station. Missed the first half of the season, coming back from a collarbone injury. But he's a guy that over the last few games has developed some chemistry with Ryan Willis, the starting QB.
Yeah, coming in with guys that are part of your class, you're much more inclined to find that connection with them.
Perry chucks it toward the Texas sideline, and it'll bring up fourth down.
Two consecutive plays, too, that you've seen the defensive end there for Texas, Derek Roberson, do a fine job of getting pressure. The play before, first play of this drive on first down, he chases the play down on the backside. And he's had a few plays this year. I believe Kansas State also had a couple plays where you wonder, who's this young kid? And Texas likes to really use him in a way where they can let him pin his ears back and rush the quarterback on passing down.
Ryan Newsom back deep for Texas. Good kick by Wyman. Newsom lets it bounce. It takes a Jayhawk bounce. And down inside the 15, a 59-yard boot for Matthew Wyman.
Texas football on Longhorn Network is presented by My All-American, starring Aaron Eckhart and Finn Whitrock, from the writer of Rudy and Hoosiers, in theaters November 13th, rated PG. And in part by Chevy Silverado, official truck of the Texas Longhorns.
Welcome back to DKR. Anish Shroff, Ahmad Brooks, Keith Moreland, Jane Slater. Ahmad, Keith, would you guys jump out of a plane with a parachute?
I'm not jumping out of any airplane that's still going. If it's going down, I might go, but I ain't going while it's
How much
flying.
liquid courage would you need to do that?
A lot for me. I'm scared of heights.
I'm not jumping out of a perfectly good airplane.
No question.
52-14. Texas has shut out Kansas 28-0 here in the second half. Foreman's had himself a big game. Another big run. He's to the 38-yard line. A first down for the Longhorns. Well, it's been a little bit of a nutty day in college football.
It's an outstanding run again, showing his power and speed. A good job up front by those guys up front.
We saw Clemson get down early to Florida State, come back and win. LSU trailing Alabama as Warwick breaks the tackle down the sideline into Kansas territory. A gain of 21. In the Big 12, TCU going down to Oklahoma State at Stillwater. That's of significance. Michigan State losing to a Nebraska team. Ahmad, you and I saw Nebraska lose to Purdue a week ago. They bounce back and knock off a top 10 team.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Michigan State just looked right past Nebraska with the way they played this season. And Nebraska had some fight in them. And that is a big win for them and may help that program turn with that type of victory.
Foreman to the 40. TCU's loss to Oklahoma State, Keith, what does that mean for the Big 12?
Well, I think it's a gigantic blow. I mean, obviously, the committee will start looking at what they need to look at. I think with what's taken place today and what's going on in Tuscaloosa, with that score there with Alabama beating LSU, that probably only one Big 12 school could be considered in those top 4, and that will be the Baylor Bears.
Baylor had itself a close win Thursday against Kansas State.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, Oklahoma State.
False start. Offense. Everybody but the center. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Group effort.
I would think that's probably on the center because he didn't snap it on time.
But, you know, to the point with Oklahoma State, I think they're still in the mix. You knock off number 8 TCU, you're undefeated, and they still have an opportunity to also play Baylor. So, and when you look at this, if you're looking at a team now to try to hang your hat on in the Big 12, I think Baylor's your first shot. But with Oklahoma State being unbeaten, I think they're still in the mix for the playoff.
Low snap, swoops. That pass is dropped by Armonte Foreman. Here's what's ahead of Baylor. Baylor still has to play TCU. The Bears still have to play Oklahoma. They still have to play Oklahoma State. So that's a minefield to navigate that won't be easy for Art Briles. And remember, Seth Russell out for the season. So you've got a true freshman quarterback. And even though he played well against Kansas State, you're now getting into the meat of your schedule down the stretch.
Can't forget Oklahoma as well. Their only losses to this Texas Longhorn team. And if they run the table, they're Big 12 champs. So it's going
to be a fun month.
Yes, it is.
Swoops. Keeping the play alive. Throwing in traffic. And that's a catch. Andrew Beck hauls it in.
Well, this is a nice job of buying time to the outside. Lays it back up. Beck goes up. Has it. Does he get a foot down in bounds? Yes, he does. He actually gets 2 feet in bounds. That's a great catch for a first down. Come help your quarterback if they get outside the pocket.
Ben Goodman down on the field way back in Kansas territory for the Jayhawks. Keith, I want to go back to your point about Oklahoma. The Texas loss for the Sooners is not a good loss. Texas is a 3-5 team about to go to 4-5. But can that be what Virginia Tech was for Ohio State last season?
Well, I definitely think it can, especially if you finish well and you've got to run through the gauntlet. Oklahoma State, they end the season with, and Oklahoma State's undefeated right now. They obviously have Baylor. They have to travel to Waco to play Baylor. They get TCU at home. So their schedule, and you look at that, the difficulty of Oklahoma's schedule, not easy. But if they can run through that schedule undefeated through that point, actually with 1 loss just to Texas, I think they ought to be considered in that top 4.
Warwick to the 22. Yeah, nobody's going to have a chance to pick up as many quality wins down the stretch as Oklahoma.
Well, you're right, and I think they will make the biggest jump with each one of those if they can come away with victories.
Kirk Johnson into the game at tailback, number 21. And this is Johnson. Zigzags inside the 15, dragging a tackler, and he's to the 12-yard line.
Yeah, Johnson with a great understanding of what you've got to do here to be great. You know, his father was an All-American here and was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, and he's just waiting for his opportunity to prove that he's been waiting a whole lifetime to wear this burnt orange.
And that Johnny, also a first-round draft pick, 2-time All-American safety. And Johnson, a freshman out of California, came to Texas with considerable hype as a 4-star recruit.
Yeah, and then that backfield was full. I mean, there were some young guys there that were talented, and you see them getting his minutes, and that's how you get more reps, you know, but it's also how you gain your confidence. So, and Texas staff, when we talked to them guys, they said it. We want to play more young guys tonight. And I think as a staff, they've been able to do that.
First and goal for the Longhorns. We want to make sure you stick around after the game for highlights, analysis, and discussion. Lowell Galindo, Vince Young, Ricky Williams, David Thomas on the Texas Game Day Final set. Texas Game Day Final powered by Chevy Silverado. You can also watch on the Watch ESPN app. First and goal, Texas. This is where Tyrone Swoops excels. And he'll hand it off that time to Johnson. Ball comes out. Never heard a whistle. Still loose. Scooped up by Swoops. Reaching for the pylon. And he's in. The bounces are going Texas's way tonight.
What an amazing play. Wow. Yeah, you've got to laugh if you're Swoops on that one. Oh, my. The fumble here, the young freshman trying to fight for extra yardage. Great job there breaking the football out by Kansas. Number 28, Courtney Arnick. And the ball comes to Swoops, and Swoops fighting off traffic to get in the end zone. That's an athletic play to cross the pylon. It's just going his way right now for number 18.
Well, that's a great individual effort. How about the ability to hold on to that football with one hand and cross the plane inside the pylon?
That's 4 rushing touchdowns now for Swoops. He's also thrown for a score. And for Kansas, it's been a familiar refrain. This is now the 5th time this season they've given up at least 50 points in a game. A string of one blowout loss after another for David Beatty.
When things happen on the football field, sometimes you can't explain it. Ball comes out, and when it's going your way, good things happen. Tyrone Swoops gets it done.
Ricky Williams, Vince Young looking on. They had some big games against Kansas in their careers. Texas right now up 59-14. The Longhorns have outscored Kansas 35-zip in the second half. And no chance there for Ryan Shadler. Let's go into the time machine. 1997. Ricky Williams ran for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns. Texas rolled against Kansas 45-31.
Looking sweet in that mirror visor, too. Nice.
Hop in the DeLorean. Fast forward 7 years later. Kansas against 7th-ranked Texas.
The play.
Vince Young. He did it all.
Yeah.
289 through the air, $114 on the ground.
Yeah, Tony Jeffrey for the touchdown that sent them to the Rose Bowl. Put them in a BCS Bowl.
Cox getting the call on first down. It was interesting because Vance Bedford, Texas's defensive coordinator, pulled the old Rick Pitino speech during one of his midweek news conferences where he gave the old Ricky Williams isn't walking through that door, Vince Young isn't walking through that door. The guys in the locker room today can't live on the accolades and the accomplishments of those that came before them at Texas. You were one of the guys that came before them. Keith, you were as well. What did you make of what Vance Bedford was trying to say?
Got to put your own stamp. I like the word he used. It, you know, there's an adjective you can use a lot of times for a lot of different things, but sometimes as a player, you've got to put your own stamp on that. You know, you can't look at Earl Campbell in the time that I play, or Roosevelt Leaks, or the James Streets of the world. You can't look. They're not walking through that door. What you've got to look at is the fact is that we've got the 105 players right here that are going to make it or break it, and that's what you got to get done.
Well, and you know, and here's the thing that I've always found interesting. When you play at a place like this and you're walking up and down the halls and you're seeing all the greats that have played here at this university, rather than seeing it as some mountain that you can't climb, I always thought it was a push. You know, I always thought that it was easy to get up for. When you're wearing the same jersey that Ray Claiborne, Jerry Gray, Johnny Johns, and some of the great defensive backs have worn, it's easy. So I always encourage the young players to come in, study. Make sure you know who these older guys are. Know the history of this university, because I think it really can help you down the stretch, especially when you're young, trying to find some motivation.
Yeah, this is a young team. Their confidence at times has been shaken. A game like this, most people will look at the final score and say, well, this is what Texas should do to Kansas. But after what happened in Ames last week, from a confidence standpoint, Ahmad, what does this do for this Texas team?
Well, the players thought that they could do this last week. And you
that
saw
was
them
part
do
of the
it.
problem, according to the coaches.
Very true. But you saw them do it versus Oklahoma. Then they come back and, you know, have I thought, a decent performance versus Kansas State. And so now you're sitting here and you're wondering, can we do this? You go on the road, you get shut out by a team that is not one of the better teams in this conference. And now you come back here, and this is a team that you were supposed to be. And to your point earlier, Anish, I think you're right. These are the types of statement victories you need to make when you're playing against an inferior opponent like Kansas.
Cox able to move the chains for KU.
I thought this second half, it's looked like a different football team than we saw in the first half. Quite frankly, they could have been trailing at halftime.
No
There's
question.
No question about it. So the first half, they came out, started quickly, as we talked about, was so important, but really got outplayed the last 22 minutes of the first half. But the second half, they come out here, they've scored 35 points in the second half, actually more than that at this point for 59. 14 in the third quarter and 21 in the fourth. It is 35 in the second half.
That's intercepted. Deshaun Elliott with his second pick of the game.
And as I'm looking at that last play, every member in the secondary was a freshman. Either a redshirt freshman or a freshman. And these are the guys, especially right here, Elliott. I know Ricky Williams coming into the year, this was one of his favorite players out of the class for the way that he was able to bring the wood and come downhill and hit. But I want you to see something here. You see how he gets outside of the numbers as a middle of the field safety? That is intimidating for a quarterback, because if you've got that type of range, what it tells me is those passing windows on the outside edges are now smaller. So you've got to get a good jump to be able to get outside the numbers, but you also have to have some talent. That time there, Elliott, showing why this coaching staff said we need to get him on the field more, and he's making plays.
First and 10 for Texas. We come up on 7 minutes to play. And the Longhorns will run it just straight up the gut. That offensive line still pushing. Kirk Johnson on the carry.
You want to get involved? This is the time you get involved. I know there's so many things. Well, the game's decided, yes. But to get on the field right now, if you want to get more playing time, you get on the field in these opportunities, you better do your job. It's not just mop-up time. It's time to go win a chance to play.
What are coaches looking at when they study the film of garbage time?
Effort, more than anything. You just want to see if guys are still coming out here and competing and not acting like the game is out of hand at this point and that you're up by 41 points. And so it's, you know, it's an exciting time, and I see some players that are warming up down here even on the sideline. It looks like Texas is going to try to give some guys some opportunities to get out on the field and get some actual game reps.
Other thing is they're looking at technique. What have we been working on all week? What are the techniques you got to use here, and see if you're doing the things that you're learning throughout the week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't see the usual suspects out on the field. Dorian Leonard out there, Jake Oliver out there as well.
Ball start. Offense, number 42. 5-yard penalty, third down.
Tyrone Swoops in the game. He's had a big night. He's accounted for 5 touchdowns in this game.
None more interesting than the last one.
No.
Fumble recovery.
I guess they ruled that a rushing touchdown, so 4 rushing touchdowns in the books. Nation tunnel screen to the 37-yard line, and it'll be 4th down for Texas.
Still, one of the things that's going to be interesting to me to see what takes place in the next 7 days, Ahmad. They've got to be able to take this type of effort that we saw here in the second half and put that in a white uniform when you go on the road, because they just, in a true road game, they have not played well.
Ryan Shadler will watch this one sail over his head. He hasn't had many opportunities tonight. Been a roller coaster season for Texas. It all started in South Bend.
You got the spotlight tonight. You have a national audience tonight.
Back to throw is Zaire looking on third down with time. Over the middle, caught the touchdown. Here goes Hurd to the 40. Gerard, 35, 30, breaks the tackle. Singular to this one. The kick is up, and the kick is no good. Unbelievable. Oh, bad snap. It goes off his hands, and he kicks and he goes out of bounds. Marcus Johnson goes in motion. They'll hand him the ball, trying to turn the corner. A stiff arm. Touchdown, Texas. Longhorn fans have been calling for a signature win for Charlie Strong. You have it. Lawson got a receiver in the end zone, and it's caught for a touchdown.
We thought that we would have came into this game and been just ready to go play, and it just didn't happen.
That last look said so much. This team had built momentum with wins against Oklahoma and Kansas State. There were good vibes going into that bye week, and then all that went away after the Halloween nightmare in Ames. Harry will keep this, and he's pushed out of bounds by Chris Boyd.
And I asked Charlie, you know, in our coaches meeting, I said, how much sleep are you getting? You know, after a loss like that on the road, I mean, honestly, as a player, I wouldn't have slept. I can't imagine what he was doing as a coach.
He doesn't sleep much anyway.
So he says, and, you know, and as a coach, it's so difficult because he's out repeating the same thing to his players. And when you have a lack of response like they did on the road last week, it just makes you feel like you need to start over sometimes. And so Charlie Strong will be proud of this effort tonight. The players should be. Though, keep this in mind. This is still a team that is winless. And that's why I said you performed the way you were supposed to, but this is Kansas. So now you've got to come back. You get one day to celebrate
from this win.
You get one day to celebrate, and then tomorrow you're back to trying to prepare for West Virginia.
This is the give to Ryan Shadler. Great speed. Shadler, a great story last year, was a sprinter at Wichita State. Then he walked down to the Kansas football team, and he's made an impact on special teams in the season opener. Return to kickoff, 91 yards.
He took a blow to his rib cage right there. You see him try to get up. He got up, got to the sidelines, but he took a blow right there.
He'll get in the weight room, look more like a football player next year. Hartside drops that. Chris Boyd closed quickly.
But if you're looking forward, I mean, obviously this is going to be the 4th win for Texas. 2 out of the 3 games that they have remaining on the road. You've got to win 2 out of 3 of those games to put yourself in a position to go to a bowl game. Obviously, West Virginia beat Texas Tech today. You had to travel a tough place to go to Morgantown and win a football game. It's a hard proposition, and you got Texas Tech here on Thanksgiving night, and then have to travel up to Waco on the first weekend in December.
Ahmad, do you see Texas getting to a bowl game in 2015?
It's tough for me to say that, and as much as I would like for this team, you know, to see them in a bowl game, right now it's hard. This has been an inconsistent bunch, and I said it yesterday there at LHN. It's going to be hard pressed for me to see them get enough victories to get into a ball game. And I think Texas Tech is going to give them everything that they can handle with that offense and the way that Mahomes is operating it. And so you're going to have to score some points to beat, I think, these next 3 teams. And Texas has shown at times that they can be ineffective in trying to get the ball in the end zone.
Shadler again, and he picks up a first down. ESPN's Football Power Index is a forward predictor, and they put percentages on a team's chance to win a given game. For example, today, Texas was given a 96.5% chance.
Lined up in the neutral zone. That penalty's declined. First down.
Brecken Hager penalized, but the penalty declined. Well, against West Virginia, FPI only gives Texas a 22% chance. Against Texas Tech, the Longhorns are a slight favorite, but it's pretty much a toss-up. And then against Baylor, less than 6%.
Uphill battle.
Here's Shadler again. You can see he's got the speed. Less than 2 minutes to play. For Charlie Strong, if he misses a bowl game, like you think the odds are, how does that play going into the offseason?
I think it's all about how they compete down the stretch. What Texas fans and I think the administration don't want to see is teams that come out here and don't compete. like they did last week, or like they did on the road at Notre Dame, or like they did on the road at TCU. Be competitive like you were here against Oklahoma State and Cal. And I think fans, you can sell fans on the progress that this team is getting better and that you're playing a bunch of young guys. But when you're not competitive, that doesn't sit well with any fan base across America.
Time now for our most dependable player of the game, powered by Chevy Silverado.
Who could that be?
I think there's really only, well, there's a couple of options. But I think you got to go with Swoops, right? 5 total TDs.
Well, he was outstanding, and Foreman was pretty good as well.
He was.
And tonight, how about this? Texas, most points at home since 2009, and where they had 64 points versus UTEP. This is a good positive sign. Defense got some takeaways.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Meanwhile, Kansas staring at its 34th straight road loss, 37th consecutive loss outside of Lawrence. And if you're wondering what the last Power 5 road win was for Kansas, you go back to October 4th, 2008. George W. Bush was finishing up his 2nd term as president. And Keith, you're a baseball guy, so you'll appreciate this. Yankees had just finished up their last season in the old stadium. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Shadler has shown a little something here.
And you asked earlier, what are coaches looking for at the end of a ball game like this? A guy gets broke, he breaks out in the open field, and you see 2 defensive backs here that miss open field tackles. And when you're trying to get on the field, and they're both young players, but those are the types of plays where you prove to your coaches that you can be in situations where they can trust you.
They can trust you. That's a great word.
Perry for the end zone. He wants Crawley, who makes the catch for the Kansas touchdown.
Yeah, just one-on-one coverage down here at the bottom. It was a stutter and go, a double move. Boyd didn't really bite on the double move, just didn't finish the play. And so many times you've seen this from Texas players all year, being in the right position and not making the play.
Darius Crawley, a sophomore from Houston. 2nd touchdown of the season. Don't forget, Texas game day final. Following the game, Charlie Strong will be on set. We'll hear from players. Lowell Galindo, Vince Young, Ricky Williams, David Thomas have you covered. Snap gets away. Loose ball picked up by Texas. That is a live ball. And Anthony Wheeler taken down at the 44-yard line.
Well, there'll also be a penalty. You can't kick a ball on the ground, so I'm sure that flag will be, see how that's enforced here. But once the ball got on the ground as a kicker, you can't just kick it at that point. That's going to draw some laundry.
Seems like it makes sense, though.
Illegal kicking the ball. Kicking team number 7. That penalty's just fine. The try is no good.
Wrong type of football. Oh, boy. But the ball was still live there. There's no doubt. You could still have returned it for 2 points. That's the 3rd bad snap we've actually seen. Holder's done a nice job of getting the others down. That one was just bounce back.
I'm sure Texas is glad to see special teams misfortunes affect the opposition. In the Cal game, Nick Rose missed what would have been the game-tying point after Texas had rallied in the 4th quarter. The following week against Oklahoma State, Dixon had trouble with a punt, ended up kicking it with his left foot and shanked it, and that gave Oklahoma State a chance, which they capitalized on to win it in regulation.
Part of the reason why I think special teams have struggled so much this year is because you're asking so many young guys to contribute on offense and defense. And when you come in as a freshman, usually your main contribution is on special teams. And so they're having to use those guys on offense and defense, which I believe is really hurting their special teams unit.
Newsom's going to run this one out. A lot of dancing. Flag on the play as he's taken down at the 14.
Ahmad, one of the questions that I would would present to you would be.
There is no foul on the play for the block in the back. First down.
The difference, I mean, we all know the facilities here at Texas are very good, and being in front of your home crowd and the way that they have performed in Coach Strong's tenure here at home has been very good. But where they've really struggled, it's been away. Is there something you would change, or some way did you were about to get that change, knowing that you got to go on the road 2 out of the last 3 ball games?
Hard to do it with young guys. You know, on the road is all about chemistry. It's all about having an understanding as Texas makes a quarterback change.
And we get to see Bryson Eccles, and he hands it off. I'm sorry, Trey Holtz, and quarterback, and he handed off to Gaston Davis.
The grandson here, I believe, of Lou Holtz, getting in the game, and the guys on the sideline were hyped that he was coming in. Everybody was dapping him up, was excited he was going to get a chance to play in a real game. Oh!
He's in the box score.
And the sideline's going bananas right now as he's getting some reps.
He's got a carry and a rushing first down.
And to your point about on the road, I think that starts with your veterans. Going on the road, providing a good example, and even the coaching staff mentioned that. We don't have enough senior leaders at this point right now to show the young guys how to do it. And on the road, it's all about chemistry and bringing your defense, and Texas has not played well defensively on the road.
That'll do it. A strong second half, and Charlie Strong gets back into the win column for Texas. The Longhorns outscored the Jayhawks 35-6 after halftime. Kansas remains winless, Texas to 4-5, and the Longhorns will have to win 2 of their final 3 games in order to become bowl eligible.
Well, I think the adjustments at halftime, I think the most talent showed up in the second half, took care of the football, and then we had big plays. Amaji, I think go back to the opening of our broadcast, you talked about that would be the difference in the explosive plays in the second half separated the game.
Texas Game Day Final powered by Chevy Silverado is next here on the Longhorn Network. Tyrone Swoops, all smiles, the 18-wheeler, accounting for 5 touchdowns in this game. This was a close game for about a half, a 10-point game, and Texas pulled away in stanza number 2. A balanced effort, 300 yards through the air, almost 300 on the ground for the Longhorns as they take it 59-20. Texas Game Day Final is coming up, but first, the eyes of Texas.
Welcome to Texas Game Day Final, powered by Chevy Silverado. Here's your host, Lowell Galindo.
And this is quite the play. The bounce is literally going Texas play. That's a swoops and score, as I've been told. Tyrone getting into the end zone, and Texas doing what it was expected to do, beat Kansas, running its record against the Kansas Jayhawks in Big 12 play to 13-0. 50 59 points on the board for Texas. Their most at home since the 2009 season as they take down the Jayhawks 59-20. Texas now with 3 games left in the regular season. They need to win 2 of those to get to win number 6, which would make them bowl eligible. Welcome to Texas Game Day Final, powered by the Chef Silverado. We're here with Ricky Williams, David Thomas, and Vince Young. We said this is what Texas was supposed to do. What's the takeaway? What do we actually learn about this Texas team in dispatching KU?
Well, I mean, we learned that they can beat teams that they're supposed to beat.
Yeah.
I'm reluctant to say that after last week's loss, but what I'm impressed by is the way they came out in the third quarter. You know, their struggles in the third quarter, the past 2 seasons are well noted. For them to explode like they did offensively in the third quarter, led by the running game and Deontay Foreman, was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you look at offensively, they really struggled the entire game last week. In this game, other than the second quarter, they really came out and just dominated this game from start to finish offensively. You know, 598 yards of offense, 7.5 yards of play. I was really impressed with just how running the ball, passing the ball early, just everything was clicking for them for the most of the game.
Yeah, and mine basically was, like I said when the game started, play is the key to the game. Play as a team, and they played as a team from offensive side of the ball, defense side of the ball, and special teams. And I just want to say, all to our fans out there, it was a little chilly, but they came out and supported everybody. So I love to see that for our fans.
And Texas offensively, when they got the football, first play from scrimmage, they've got the long bomb to John Burt. The numbers back it up, and it seems like now the observations really back it up that Texas is a completely different team when they get out ahead. They establish what I like to call the rules of engagement, and they take that lead. Why is Texas so different when it has to start like that compared to playing from behind?
Well, one of the things with the young team getting behind, they start to have doubts, they start to have concerns, they start to get nervous. And when they get ahead, they play with more confidence. So it's one of those things that they have to get past because they're going to play some good teams in the future, and they're not always going to get off to a fresh start. So they have to learn how to fight back when they get down. And I think the third quarter was them starting to fight back. At the end of the first half, they started to lose momentum. They went in a half, they did something, came out swinging, and had, again, an explosive third quarter.
I'm sure Coach Strong may have had a few words in the locker room for his guys, getting ready for the third quarter, and it worked. But going back to the start of the game, a couple things that we haven't seen recently. John Burt more involved in the vertical passing game, working for Texas.
Yeah, the first play of the game, hitting John Burt for the long touchdown, hitting Lorenzo Joe on the next series for about 30-something yard gain. So just how aggressive they came out, showing a little confidence in your quarterback. You know, we talked about pregame, getting some short, quick passes to build his confidence. And Jay Norvell, he said, forget about the short, quick game passes. Let's take shots down the field. Let's show some confidence, get some chunk yards. And it worked out because Texas was up 17-0 to start the game. And really, you know, Kansas got back into the game in the second quarter there. Texas defense held them to no points inside the red zone twice at the end of the second quarter. That was a big swing in that game.
Yeah, one of the things that I did like was I saw a slant route twice.
Twice? You saw 2 of them,
I saw 2 slant routes. I seen some hitch routes. So, again, Jay, I love you, big guy. I love to see it, baby. Love to see it, baby.
Well, Texas got up in this game 17-0, and as you guys mentioned, after that, Kansas really started to take some momentum. They make this a close game, but really, maybe the most pivotal moments of this game were provided by the Texas defense, right by the end zone, right behind us, with 2 critical stands. Kansas twice gets the ball inside the Texas yard line, and Texas is able to come away without allowing points. What did you think those 2 situations meant to the outcome of this game, David?
Well, it's just when you talk about those 2 possessions, if Kansas gets a field goal or a touchdown, it's instead of being up by 2 possessions going to halftime, Kansas is right in the middle of the game, and just the confidence that gives your offense that if we do make a mistake, Gerard Hurdy fumbled inside the 20. That's the worst place you can fumble on offense, setting up the other team's offense. But Gerard responded in the second half. The defense picked him up, gave this team a chance, and then the other thing that really just kind of put the nail in the coffin for Kansas was that long run by Deontay Foreman in the middle of the third quarter. When that play happened, you really just saw the wind come out of Kansas sails.
And it was Ricky that called him out. He called out the entire Foreman family.
And they both scored.
And they responded.
Hey,
where you at?
Where you at, baby?
They got the message.
They do. They do that more often.
I should do that more often.
And I really think, I know what Texas' thing is now. It's not the juice. I think it's when them guys lose bad and get embarrassed, they come out playing a whole different kind of football team when something happens to them.
Just to pump the brakes just a little bit.
It was Kansas. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah.
But still, well, you know, Kansas is notoriously bad on the road and in Big 12 play. They played well, but like all teams that have a difficult time winning they found a way to lose. They made mistakes. You had they muffed 2 punts. One of them Texas recovered. They couldn't even get 3 points. Both times they're inside the red zone at the end of the second quarter. So they played well. They just made too many mistakes, and Texas did a good job of finally capitalizing on the other team's mistakes.
But at the same time, too, we'll point out Texas needs something. I mean, they needed this win, had to have it, and who knows what comes after this. It's kind of like we talked about after Oklahoma. That was a huge win, but really they could determine what it meant and how they followed up with that, and they did with the win against Kansas. 3 tough games from here to close it out at West Virginia. They looked good against Texas Tech. Then they're at home, Texas Tech Thanksgiving, and they finish up on the road against the Baylor Bears. But that's getting down the road a little bit. Talking about the defense, Peter Jenkins once again seemed like he's the guy for this defense that ends up making critical plays when this defense really needs him to. And we saw him early in the game. I think first possession of the game, he was able to get to the quarterback and bring him down for a sack.
Yeah, and I really feel like the defense responds when he's playing well. He's out there making some really good plays. We got a big sack today. And to see him making all the calls on the defensive side of the ball, getting the guys in the right places, this is to show you what type of leader he is. And then I really like the excitement after he makes a big play, how he gets up and show him, hey, he got his chest out, things like that. And that's what I like to see when Texas is playing all together, when you see the big plays and guys having a good time, you know, enjoying themselves, playing the game that we all love, except you, LG.
I love it.
I love it.
We also saw a lot of new faces on defense. You know, wearing number 16, Deshaun Elliott had 2 interceptions today. A really nice one, shoestring catch that he made off of a tip. It's great. You know, you can tell the coaching staff really wanted to get more of the young players on the field. And we saw in the fourth quarter, walk-ons were getting to play.
Yeah, my guy Trey.
Here's a head coach, Charlie Strong, at the microphone. Let's listen in.
It's good to see our team just battle back and been some adversity, but they learned how to fight through it. You know, you look at the first play there on offense, and you know, we end up throwing a long touchdown pass to Burt and gave Gerard some confidence early, able to jump out to a big lead, and then they were able to make some plays. But then second half, we kind of turned it on. Knew we had to go out second half and go establish the run. Didn't rush for many yards the first half, but second half, you know, you get that ball to Deontay and watch him just rolling, and he made a big run. Then we got explosive, and then start making plays after plays. You know, we'd like to see Seven come down and make the plays he made, make the catches actually. But you know, it's just fun just to see the team back to where it should be, and just having fun tonight and really enjoying it.
Questions? Start with Brian on the left.
Charlie, is your message to the players, practice hard, you come in focused and, you know, have the right attitude, this is what should happen?
Well, it starts on the practice field, and we just have to take it from the practice field to the game field. And then you look at it, and it's, you know, one week you don't score anything, then the night it's so explosive. And that's what the players have to realize. It's all about just being consistent. We haven't just been a consistent team.
We're on the right, Anwar.
Coach, you know, what do you make out of, you know, a win like this? You guys have been so up and down, and every time we say you guys turn the corner, you know, something bad happens. So what do you make out of this win?
Well, we're not going to write we turn the corner. So I want you to keep writing this really bad, okay? Do not give them no hope at all. Just say we don't need that. It's like every time we get built up, it's like crash and burn. We don't. But no, it's glad. You know, it's just so happy to see how our players battled, and. You know, you hear so much, and I tell them all the time, what matters the most is the team. And when you start playing for what's on the front of your jersey and not what's on the back, then good things are going to happen for you.
The middle, Ross.
Any guess or explanation for how you can get shut out one week and score all these points a week later?
I needed those points last week. I just needed half of them last week. But No, it isn't an explanation. You look at last week, we don't release the ball, and Gerard knew he needed to make the throws, and we don't take advantage of what they gave us. And then you look at tonight, first play of the game, we open it up and just throw the deep one, and they just lay it out there. Because the thing about John Burt, he can make plays. Just lay it out there to him, and he'll go get it, and he'll run it down. But just watch us just make the plays and watch the quarterback. It starts with the quarterback. If the quarterback have a good night, then we're going to get the good results that we have tonight.
How important was it for you guys to establish Gerard Hurd and get some of that confidence back? He hadn't thrown for over 100 in a long time.
He needed that, and the thing about him, and like once he gets going, and once if it happens, if it's positive for him early, then you're gonna get positive results from him, and just to see him bounce back, and once he made that first throw, then you just knew that he was gonna be on point, and it kind of hit a lull there in the second quarter, but we were just able to bounce back and get a good start there at the start of the second half.
The middle guys. Coach, first half, they pretty much played you toe-to-toe despite the score. Did you have to have the big halftime speech, or was it a matter of just wearing Kansas down?
Well, what I told them, Dennis, at halftime is that they were playing harder than we were. And the thing we can't do is we can't allow that to happen, and we're a more talented team, and we should come out the second half and go dominate the game. And I said there's no reason for it. I mean, we jump up big, and we can't be front runners. Once we get a lead, we got to continue to play and be aggressive, and we weren't aggressive. We kind of, jumped out there in front, and then all of a sudden gave them an opportunity to move the football. And then them missing that field goal right there before half, I think it gave us a little more energy. Then we were able to bounce back.
On your right, Steve.
Coach, congratulations. And second of all, the goal line stand, obviously that was a big part of the game too. You talk about the field goal miss, but the goal line stand gave you some momentum there on your defense, right?
It was big because we turned the ball over, and then they were able to do, we give it to them, first and goal on the 8, and we make 4 big stops there. The third down play where they tried to roll out and the quarterback stepped out of bounds and then made it fourth and, half a yard or whatever. Then we were able to hit it. And, it was a big play there on the fourth down play. I think Pete hit him and just, knocked him back and stopped the momentum of the ball carrier, and then he ended up fumbling. But that was big because that would have made the score really tight. Then it would have been 3 points, and then but we were able to go out and get that stop with a really big goal line stand.
Stand the right, Mike.
Charlie, John announced to us early in the first half that Malik was only available in case of emergency. Was the second quarter there looking like an emergency, and you needed him at that point?
Well, I looked out there and I said that we can't continue to miss tackles, and Malik is one of those guys, he can make the plays, and so I said we will play him. He wasn't feeling well. I said, let's make sure he's okay before we throw him out there.
Is this a long-term thing with him? It's been 2 weeks in a row where he's been sick. Is he dealing with something?
Well, he really, I think it's more stomach virus or whatever, but he's one of those guys that I think I could have started him. I just didn't want him out there. Then all of a sudden you kept bouncing him back and forth. But when he was ready to go, we put him in. And the thing about Malik is he's one of those guys that he needs to practice work, and we weren't able to practice him last week, and I just didn't want to play him without practicing.
On your left, Ryan.
Charlie, did you kind of point to this game that if things looked like they were going well, you would get Kirk Johnson, Deshaun Elliott, Chris Boyd, some of those guys, some reps, and how would you say that they acquitted themselves?
Well, last week we tried to play the 2 freshman safeties. When you look at 11 and 4, try to play them some last week, and when you play them, they're going to have to be in there with a vet. So if you play Elliott, then I'm going to need 14 in the game with him, and so then if I play a 4, then I'm going to need 31. So you're going to have to make sure that older guys in it, just make sure they get aligned the right way. And tonight was good, and we ended up playing them. I told our guys we're going to play them the second series. So wherever the ball ends up, it doesn't matter. We're going to put those guys in the game. Kirk Johnson's really been working hard. He's been on special teams, so wanted to give him a few touches. And even Bernard, last week we ran the ball with him. Had it again tonight. Had called a play, but they overloaded to one side, so we weren't able to give him the pitch. But just playing those young guys, you just see how young and talented we are, and just watch it, just how explosive they are. And just the more they play, the better they're going to get. And it is good that when you're going to be able to build a secondary, the way you build it, because you look outside the corner, you look at 5 and you look at 9, those 2 guys are lined up with 24, and then Duke and 21. So you look at those, you got 4 corners, you're going to be able to build it with 4 safeties, and then at the running back position, 25 wasn't available tonight, but we were able to play Kirk.
Stand the left, Kirk.
Charlie, given that Kansas is 0-9 now, do you want your players really excited, or are you scared they might get overly excited?
No, they won't get overly excited with this one because I told them we have to go out and dominate this team, and next week is critical for us because we're going to have to play very well. We're on the road, hadn't played very well on the road, but we're going into a tough environment, and you look at what they did today, beating Texas Tech, and now they have us coming in there next week, so it's going to be critical for us.
Stand to your left, Brian.
Charlie, how much was the first few passes from Gerard, especially the first one and the third one, how much of that was Jay trying to send a message to him, send a message to us, the fans, that y'all can throw the ball?
A combination of both, because we know he can throw the football. It's just a matter of him just having the confidence to release the ball. And the first one was big because we had the wind at our back also, so just release it and let it go and let Burt go run it down. And then he made some really good throws.